Hello, everybody. Welcome to Real Fisherman. We are back. We got a special guest tonight, Mr. Todd Asher.
Dun, dun, dun.
I see his little thing just popped up, but I don't see his face.
It's because it's dark in my truck. Can you hear me?
Oh my goodness! Yeah, we can hear you.
Sweet.
What's going on, Todd?
Hear you loud and clear, brother.
Nothing. Just driving down the interstate.
Oh, he's driving.
Dedication right there.
Are you doing about 87 miles an hour like Wes likes to do?
About 72. A lot of cops out here for the what do you call it? Thanksgiving Day traffic.
72 in 65?
No, in the 70.
Oh, you're only doing 72 into 70?
Yep.
Oh, come on, Todd. You can crank it up to like 79.
Step it up a little bit, yeah.
I got a tire out of balance when I hit 75 to 78. It shakes me like I'm about to fall out of the truck.
Oh my God, it gets the death wobble. Okay.
It's either
That's
72 or 92.
That ain't a tire
Okay.
balance. That's a Ford. That's a tire. Knowing Asher is probably different tire sizes.
I probably got 3 different tires on here.
Well, Todd, Pete said he hadn't never met you. I'm sure you can see his picture. Todd, that's Pete. Pete, that's Todd that you can't see over there on the north.
He's probably too busy focusing on the road ahead. It's all good. No worries.
He looks like a
How's it
serial
going,
killer,
brother?
Todd, but he's pretty cool.
You know.
Well, let me tell y'all a little story. Years ago, I ain't gonna go into long, but years ago, I Googled striper guides in East Tennessee, and Billy Davis came up. Well, luckily, Billy Davis was busy, so I wound up with Todd Asher. Turned out to be one of the best choices I ever made in my life. I mean, we caught fish, but Todd showed me more about striper fishing than anybody ever has. And I learned how to catch fish. I learned mainly to cut bait and things. So, here not too long ago, I got you now. I decided to start saltwater fishing. Now, on this note, Keith Wood and Peter Malick have been there for me and helped me and showed me a lot. He showed me how to actually rig ballyhoo. And listen, I can rig the shit out of the ballyhoo now, but I'm a beast. But anyway.
So at the rate that you're going, I'll put it to you this way. I started striper fishing about 15 years ago, and you eclipsed me in less than a year. It took me 15 years, and I still didn't do what you did in a year. And I think that, like you're saying now, that Todd had a lot to do with that. And I think that
99% of it.
You recently took him out and put him on some fish offshore, had a great trip, memorable trip. So it's kind of things kind of coming full circle. You're kind of repaying Todd. So what you're saying is, since Peter and Keith has shown you so much, so your next adventure, whatever it is, maybe catch an alligator gar in Texas, I don't know, who knows, but you're gonna repay Peter and Keith by taking them and putting them on something else.
That's kind of sort of what I'm kind of understanding from this whole situation. Yeah.
But
Maybe we go catch alligators in Santee. That seems to be the cool thing now. Everybody's doing that.
So anyway, I was talking to Daryl Barney. Let me back up.
Yeah.
So I started going offshore, started catching a few fish here and there, learning what's going on. And I was talking to Daryl Barney the other night or the other week, and I told him, I said, Daryl, I said, I finally talked Todd into going offshore with me. What's up, Daryl? And I said, I don't know if he's going to go yet or not. And Daryl said, he said, Todd told me, now this is Daryl's side of it, but Daryl's like stir the pot too. He said he told him that I'm going to wait and just see how he does, see if he catches any fish or not before I go out there 75 miles offshore with him. But of course, Todd said he wasn't worried about catching fish. He just wanted to make sure I had a boat that would get him back home from 75 miles offshore. But anyway, Todd's son went with us, his daughter and his wife. We had a great trip. I do kind of understand the pressure that's on guys now because I'm not no guide, but I took Todd and them out there and I really wanted them to catch fish because I felt like I was trying to repay this favor. And Todd, if you want to tell them the story about Maddox's yellowtail, because actually Pete's the first one that mentioned something about those fish before I realized what he had caught. Tell them what they told you about the IGFA, Todd.
Well, we looked up I looked up the state record and the IGFA world record and stuff the day before. And I'm still, I can't remember 100% if Maddox or Sydney had the biggest fish,
It was
but
mad.
whichever one. So a called buddy of mine, fished with me forever, lives in Florida. And I was like, check out the junior IGFA world record for yellowtail snapper. And sure enough, the one that we caught that was over 8 pounds, the current record was like 7 pounds of change. So, and I mean, Maddox hooked that fish, got it all the way to the boat by itself. I never touched the rod, so it would have been legit, record. The only thing I did was leader the fish and brought it in. So that's, I got the world record yellowtail snapper in my stomach right now.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Say that again, Todd. You guys had the IGFA
Junior.
Junior.
IGFA record on yellowtail snapper. That is awesome.
Yeah.
And we missed the world record by a little over a pound.
So I actually Googled it yesterday or today or whatever it was, and the world
I think
record
11.
was like over 12 pounds.
No, I thought the
Yeah.
world record was 10 pounds, 8 ounces.
It's up there. Actually, I took a screenshot. Actually, I'll tell you right now.
Yeah, it was bigger than that.
For the world record,
The
Yeah, the
world
whole tackle.
record yellowtail snapper. Actually, you guys might be right. 10 pounds, 8 ounces.
yes, that's what I thought. Yeah.
And wasn't that out of Bermuda?
I think that was out of South Carolina,
Wow.
South
Mount Pleasant, South Carolina.
Really?
Oh no, sorry, that's where the angler's from. Excuse
Oh,
me.
okay.
But I do believe no, it was caught in SC.
Yeah, 10 pounds, 8 ounces. That's what I thought I read. But anyway, we missed that by a little over a pound. He missed that by, but at the end of the day, I wouldn't have known that, and Todd wouldn't have known that. I'm glad it wasn't no world record fish because the carcass is in Hines Creek and the rest of it's in Todd and them's belly.
And I bet it's pretty damn good.
It's real good. We've caught a lot of yellowtail down in the Keys, and I mean, they're super, half a pound or so is your average down there. And, when I saw those come up, and they actually doubled up on them at the same time when they caught them. And, man, I just didn't think to check the junior IGFA record.
Yeah, and I was telling Wes earlier today that Florida, they don't catch them big at all. Like 3-4 pounders considered huge down there, and all the ones I've caught in my years of fishing out here, I can count on one hand. I think maybe a little more than that, but the biggest one I've personally caught out of a boat I've been in was like 5 pounds, so he's not even touching that.
Well, our first bite was a yellowfin. I mean, it was a blackfin, and I could have swore that was a tuna. I could have swore it was a wahoo. Oh, there you go. That
There
was
it
the
is.
biggest one.
That's a monster. Wow.
That was my buddy.
That would have been an awesome video.
And I'll tell you, them cedar plugs were money, wasn't they, Todd?
Oh, they loved it. Oh, yeah, I'm looking right now. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey,
Yeah.
my buddy's here with me from Florida. He's in the truck with me. The junior female angler, which Sydney's would have surpassed this one as well. It was 7 pounds flat, caught in Key West. And then Maddox's 7 pound, 14 ounces was the male junior. So his would have been just over that. And I'm pretty sure that one Sydney caught was over 7 because I weighed it as well.
Cool.
And then we did.
What a trip.
We did have one smoking wahoo bite. I mean, Todd, he left you like he was on a porch, didn't he? And that we had doubles. That was doubles, wasn't it, Todd? 2 went off at the same time. That blackfin and then that outside rod.
Yes, that was.
So did y'all caught the yellowtail snapper while you were bottom fishing, or were you trolling?
No, bottom fishing.
What rod and reel did you catch it on?
Maddox caught his on the Daiwa Saltiga.
What's that?
And,
That tuna Stephanie called it the trash tuna. False Albert. Is that what they're called?
Yeah.
Little tiny or false
Yeah,
albacore,
that's what-
or is that the same fish?
Whatever Stephanie caught, I chunked it up, and that's what I caught
It was a bonita.
Oh.
It's a bonita.
Yellowtail.
Call it what you want to. They're down bonita.
Well, bonita's the coolest thing to call it. It
Yeah.
looks like a bonita. It's not a bonita, but I think you could probably get
It's a little
away
funny.
with most people calling it a bonita.
Well, it was bloody as shit. We
It's
cut
so
that
bloody.
little
I actually
stuff
kept
right.
one and took it to work, ground it up, made it, put some liquid smoke in it, and my coworkers killed it. They loved it. They were like, "Man, when are you gonna catch some more bonita?" I told them it was bonita. Yeah,
Hey,
it
I'll
was
tell you what.
it was an edible.
Those blackfin tuna, I guess, but like Mike Bradford said one time, anything in the ocean that's shaped like a bullet is just going to be
Hey Wes, do you
Strong,
think
you know.
you think that could have handled it?
All day.
what? That tuna?
Yeah. You think that could have handled that
Honestly,
yellowtail?
Honestly, oh yeah, the yellowtail most definitely. That tuna, it might can handle one or two, but I mean, I don't think it would stand up to it.
What would
Just-
happen? What would happen to it?
I don't know.
Get smoked.
Get smoked. Hey Todd, while you're on here, will you please tell these guys what happened while we were below Melton Hill Down when I had that Ambassador Black Edition 6,000 reel?
Yeah,
60,000
Todd, please tell us
'Cause
what
they don't
really
believe
tell
me.
us what really happened, Todd.
That one that you're so proud of.
Yeah, that one.
All right, so Wes brought us, a rod or two of his own. You know how it is. Like when you're a guide, people are like, "Hey, can I bring a rod?" And you're thinking,
Uh-huh.
"Hell no," because you probably got something screwed up on it. You're like, "We're gonna lose a fish because of something you got with your tackle." But anyways, he had some like nice pro rockets or whatever they were.
Rocket
Spooled up, everything looked pretty legit. So I let him throw one out there, and he's just talking this reel up, and of course we're cut baiting tied to the dam, so he hooks up on a striper, and I pretty much just never stopped it. It almost spooled him, and then ended up just breaking him off. And I just looked at him, man. I was like, "Dude, you got smoked." And I think he went home and sold all those ambassadors and went and got some.
I didn't hear nothing about it tearing up. Sounded like a coffee grinder, Wes.
The gears up in it. It was grinding. You don't remember Todd when I drilling it back in? It was grinding like
That was the
hell.
clicker, Wes.
No, it wasn't the clicker. It was the damn gears of that piece of shit.
Hey, listen, that's Wes's story. I don't remember.
Oh, that was a clicker kind of caught in between the off and on, right?
Yeah.
Todd knows what it did. But
Todd,
anyway,
I'm pretty sure Todd don't you use ambassadors, Todd?
Man, I've used everything. As long as it works, I'll crank it. When I was guiding, you go through tackle like you do underwear. So I used a little bit of everything. And honestly, probably 90% of my big fish came on an old pin, 310, just plastic reel, the old cheap one. I couldn't afford to have nice stuff. When you're a guide, you're broke.
So not only that, when you're a guide, you're kind of afraid that the clients might like drop your reel overboard or something too. I get it.
Well, that too, and so what those old 310 lacked in drag and performance, I made up in oversized line with 50-pound test.
hey, Todd, Scott Perry said, you got one screw in a rod holder and you worried about client's tackle.
Hey, listen, I am a little infamous of having I won't say not well organized boat, but held together by a thread from time to time.
Most people's issues with ambassadors are they say the level lines will fail. So they do make ambassadors. Here's one now. It's a non-level line. They do make
Yeah, but
ambassador
dude,
6500 non-level.
When you're freshwater fishing as a guide, if you have non-level lines, you're just freaking asking for a nightmare.
You're absolutely correct. Yeah, especially if the spool is full and you're reeling it in, and all the lines piling up on one side, and it gets to where it can't reel. Yeah, then you're in trouble.
That's a fact.
Biggest thing with the non-guided reels is if someone does not know how to hold a rod in their damn hand. That's what the problem happens. I fish the lead core stuff, and none of my reels have a guide. And if you want to turn the reel or the rod kind of cockeyed sideways, all that line will pile up on one side. But if you hold it straight like you're supposed to, it normally kind of lays on the spool as it should without any assistance.
Sometimes it does do that. I think it's got a lot to do with how you put the line on before you put it out.
Well, listen, let me ask y'all a question. Todd, you may know about this. Pete, I'm sure you do, but I don't understand the theory behind it. But when I went down to Merle's Inlet Outpost last weekend, I was looking at rods and Ariel, and I know they got different makers, but I was looking at an Ariel boat rod.
Nice
This
rods.
particular rod, the first eye is in line, and then the other eyes are staggered. You know,
Yeah.
they look kind of.
That's for jigging.
It looks real funky to me.
It looks
But that
cool.
guy said what happens is when you load the rod up, it keeps the line. It gives you full capacity of the rod. You get the full capacity of the rod without, because he said like sometimes when the line goes down beside the eyes, you're losing the strength of the rod, and it's supposed to do something about you know what is he talking about?
Basically, jigging rods. I mean, that's what
Yeah,
what
it's
they
jigging
are.
rods. I can't remember why they do that, but it's jigging rods that they do that on.
And what's it not supposed to? He said something about the way it keeps the line off of the rod and gives you full of the rod capacity.
Hang on a second. I'll look it up and see if I can find out.
Hey Wes, you remember when I fished with Gong Li when he came up here, the dude from China?
Yeah.
Well, he makes his own rods and stuff, and that's how his are. You know, they'll start out.
You broke up, Todd. They do what now?
He said that the guy that came down from China that
Yeah.
he took fishing, he said that's how he makes his rods.
Yeah, Todd took the guy. Now, if I'm not mistaken, Todd, if you can hear me, this guy come from China, and he owns the largest scrapyard in China. Is that correct, Todd? I believe we lost Asher.
On rodbuilding.org, this one guy says it's called a spiral wrapped or acid wrapped. And the advantage that he believes is that there's a noticeable difference in torque and the pressure you feel.
Losing everyone.
He said there's a guide on the blank that transitions the line to the underside. That's not really explaining it, though.
This is taking us up to 77.
It's,
Todd, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. Now, Gong Li or whatever his name was, he owned the largest scrapyard in China, correct?
I mean, it was a big one, whatever. I can't remember exactly, but yeah.
And
Something
what did
like
he
that.
want you to do? What did he pay you to do?
Oh, his whole he travels all over the world fishing, and we kind of planned this from a year out. He wanted to come and catch a 30-plus pound striper on artificial. So we narrowed it down to one of the best times is in the dead of the winter when the steam plants are going and all the big fish are congregated there in that one area.
Hello?
Y'all still there?
Are you doing that, Peter?
Yeah.
Is
Go
Peter
ahead, Todd.
gross up?
Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
So anywho, he allotted 14 days, booked me for 14 days. And, I told him, I was like, man, I'm putting you in the right place at the right time. The rest is up to you and the fish. And so about 6 days into it, we had one striper, like 12 pounds, man. We were all just beat to death. It was a super cold winter, 5-degree mornings, just stupid cold. 2 days after he gets here, they shut the steam plant off in Knoxville. So, we're going searching different places. And I think it's the 6th or 7th day we went out. It was snowed about 3 inches that morning on the boat. And he popped a 42-pounder on a topwater lure.
Do you remember what the lure was?
It was like an oversized Zero spook, kind of like a muskie that they use for muskie fishing, like a tiger color, like a giant spook.
So like a walk the dog bait?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah, he was an unbelievable fisherman, man, just out there freezing cold, casting his butt off.
Hey,
After
Todd,
that, what?
is that the same guy that Drew showed me the video of, the Chinese guy? What he done, he took a soda bottle, Pete, filled it half full of water, and just barely puts the cap on it, just like sets it on it and just barely turns it. And then he takes and casts as a lure and hits that soda bottle cap and spin it off. And that's how he practices casting. Is that the same guy, Todd?
Yeah, same dude.
Drew showed me that video, and that's just amazing. I mean,
Mike Bradford said his ambassador made by Zebco. No, they're made in Sweden. They're I tell you what Zebco does make though is they make Finn Nor. You ever heard of Finn Nor? They make Van Staal. You ever heard of Van Staal?
Yeah.
And Zebco was originally a bomb manufacturing company. That's what it's like. Zebco is actually an acronym, and the B in the word Zebco is bomb. I can't remember what the actual acronym is, but yeah, they were a bomb company. Zebco's pretty awesome.
Scott Perry said Gong Lee should have went with Daryl Barney up to the dam, that he could have been bouncing spooks off the dam all day long. Dang.
I have to
Mike
admit,
Bradford
I've
said
bounced a spook or two off the dam. Well,
I think I've shattered a
not
couple
spook,
of balls.
but a redfin.
Yep.
Is the redfin? I hear a lot about those baits. Is that like the big go-to bait for striper?
Yes, it's a top water floating minnow, and you just reel it very, very, very slow, just slow enough where it'll swim, and it makes a
Wake.
wake. A wake bait.
Yeah.
And it's fun. It's
Yeah.
fun casting them at night. I know Peter likes to make fun of my night striper fishing at night on points, but
I don't think
That
I
is
ever did
the-
make fun of you night fishing. I
that is
never
the
have.
funnest thing. That's the most fun I think I've ever had fishing was casting points on Lake Norman at night for stripers with redfins.
Oh yeah.
Not just redfins,
Yeah.
but any floating minnow. Bomber makes some good ones. Bomber
Yep.
Long A, Rebel, just any floating minnow.
I've always
Rapala.
liked the super spook at night.
Yeah, the spook. Walk the dog. They all work.
So where you heading, Asher?
Just taking a little road trip tonight.
Oh, okay.
Little road
That sounds
trip
like
over to
a
North
top
Carolina.
secret mission.
We're probably going fishing somewhere.
I wish.
Yeah, I tell you, we did have a. We looked for it.
So you got one more trip left, did you? Right, Wes? Down at
Road
Creek
trip, I
Cove?
get it.
Yeah, well, not this coming weekend, which I don't think anybody in their right mind is going to go out there right now. I'm showing 6-footers on Saturday. But the following weekend, if weather permits, my lease will be up December the 9th.
Uh-huh.
So I am going to try to get offshore one more time. I think Todd's going to try to come down if he can, and Mike Bradford is coming, and Pete Malik if he can get away. So that's the plan right now.
Heck yeah.
And JR, if you want to come video, you're welcome to come. That would be
You guys
awesome.
need a video guy?
As long as you're not going to wreck it, as long as I'm not going to have to chase your drone and interrupt my fishing.
Well, I mean, you won't have to chase it but once. I don't need
These
I don't
signs
need but one
blurry
drone
you.
shot.
I'm just going blind. One blind.
Funny story, we were on our way back striper fishing, and I wanted to get a drive-by of Wes's boat. I wanted to put a GoPro on a buoy. I was like, swing over here, let me throw this GoPro on this buoy right quick. Let's get a drive-by, Wes. And Wes said, nah, I'm ready to get back. I ain't got time. We ain't gonna, nah. Okay. You got to get those shots, Wes.
You got
If you
the
want an awesome
aerial
video,
view.
you got to get the
That
shots.
was cool. You got an aerial view from like 100 foot up, and the boat's bouncing, and then my name comes across the screen and makes me think I'm somebody right there. You know,
Hey,
I mean,
I can do
that
it,
was-
brother.
that
I
was
can
good.
do it. I'll tell you what would be cool is to get your boat going wide open throttle and then bring the drone down in right beside the boat and have it going,
Oh, with the
along
boat.
beside your boat, while your boat's planed out. That would be a very, very cool shot.
So what is that, like 18 miles an hour? I'm just kidding.
No, I'm actually getting about 36 now. Hey, I wouldn't get much above that. Those motors, dude, the VAT tanks were stopped up. The fuel, you know how much 2 fuel regulators cost me?
That's
How much?
$700.
Thanks.
That was labor and all.
No, labor
Where's
all
it
was $2,500.
Oh my God. Well, it's running good though, then, right? You're good to
I had
go.
to actually had to prop it down. It was running, turning too many RPMs.
Yeah.
It's like a totally different.
Well, I
boat.
wonder if you would have been able to diagnose it as quickly had you not changed the props. I think
Well,
maybe
we tried it before, and we, it
you
just
didn't
never
really
did
start
change.
doing that until you'd changed the props, though, right?
No, that's why we changed the props.
Oh, Okay.
because I wasn't getting RPMs. But it was the fuel regulators. One of the port fuel pump was rusted almost completely out, and the fuel regulator it just looked like a clump of rust.
I think it's just probably just mainly from it sitting.
Mainly from it sitting.
Yep.
So, but it's money right now. It
Heck
is
yeah.
money.
That's awesome. That was fun. I went down there one night. Wes invited me down to go fishing, and I got down there the night before he did. And he actually called Cricket Cove Marina and had him put the boat in the water. And I got to crawl in the cuddy and sleep and camp out on his boat at Cricket Cove. It was pretty awesome. Some cops came down there to check on things. I guess they were doing their nightly walk of the marina. And they come walking the dock right beside the boat, like shining their flashlight. They were talking. They never knew I was even in there.
Was you paranoid, Joe?
I was a little bit paranoid.
Did you blow the fish?
Fugitive from the law.
We lost you, Todd.
That's
cool. Have a safe trip, Todd, and good luck on whatever you're doing there, buddy.
But yeah,
Wherever
Pete, if we
you're
can
going.
get out, would you like to go out to the start? I'll tell you what, those fish where everybody was fit, there was about, Pete, at one time I counted 18 boats that I could see. You know, and I talked to Keith, and he said for that area right there, he said that is a lot of boat traffic. That's why he didn't go that particular Saturday. But would you like to fish out there? Are there any other spots?
Yeah, it's just like anything else. I don't like to, call the shots right now because you don't know where the good water's at. It's tough to say, yeah, let's go, but you're a couple weeks out and you might have some good temperature break somewhere else. We're getting to that time of year now where
Peter's probably got. He's probably he's a little reluctant to tell you anything right now. He's probably got some inside information that is going to be coming his way. So
I've always got, I got a very, very, very large network. Let's put it that way.
So just be patient, Wes. Don't worry.
You don't trust Chris Jenkins, do you?
He'll give you his input.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, there again, I can't say I've caught fish every time I've went out there, so that'd be my go-to spot.
I've been there at times where there's absolutely nothing too, so don't let it.
Scott Perry said, "What are billy balls? What are billy balls?" He's asking Todd, but Todd's not with us anymore. Do you happen to know what billy balls are, Wes?
I don't have a clue. That's some chain gang shit on this show, I guess. I don't know. What are you doing, buddy? Come here. What is it?
What's up, Tony? Hey guys, hit that like button. We got 15 people watching. We only got 2 likes. If you can't hit that like button, maybe it'll trigger the algorithm to show more people the show so they can join us and hang out and chat with us.
What's up, Tony Caton?
So slightly changing subject here. I know there's a lot of tournaments coming up on Saturday. Who's fishing?
Pete, hold on one second. I want to interrupt you. Do you know Tony Caton?
No.
Yes, you do.
You don't know Tony Caton.
Owner of Big Cat Fever.
He's the half owner of
Oh, yeah. Of course, yeah.
Oh, there you go.
I know of him. Sorry.
Okay, Tony's watching right now.
Oh, boy.
Tony's a super great guy. But anyway,
I think Tony was down at the this last tournament. I don't know if it was he and Caleb or if it was just Caleb, but I know one of them was at the Big Money Showdown, Southeast Big Money Showdown on Lake Wiley this past weekend.
Yeah.
And Peter was getting ready to say, what were you going to say about tournaments, Peter?
Yeah, so anyone here fishing tournaments this weekend or this upcoming Saturday? Anyone?
Well, I tried to fish one this past weekend, and I couldn't get off work. It was a 2-day tournament, Friday and Saturday, and couldn't get off. I actually did go film a little bit of the weigh-in on day 1, but I wasn't able to make it to day 2. Actually went to the beach. But yeah, we got our next tournament coming up is the Southeast tournament, and it'll be not this coming weekend, but I think it's on the 3rd. What do you got going on, Peter?
Just got that striper tournament myself on Saturday coming up on Baden Lake. Otherwise, that's going to be the last one of the year, I think, for me.
Now, what's the date of it?
It is the 26th, 27th, whichever the Saturday is.
I might be able to get in that one, maybe.
Come on.
Yeah, I'll come on. I'd be glad to come whip your ass.
Game on, baby.
My buddy
Hey,
Blaze.
have you ever fished at SBC?
Have I? Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever fished it on Hartwell?
No, I have not.
Okay. What are they going to have it this year, JR? Have you heard yet?
The Winter Classic?
No,
It's,
SBC.
Yeah, the SBC Winter Classic.
I think I
It's the
saw a
big one.
note saying that they plan on having it the 4th of
It's
January. I think.
January. It's usually January. Yeah, we ought to get together and fish it, boys. Where with maybe with Scott Perry.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Or I don't know, someone else's boat. I don't know. We'll have to talk to Scott about that, I'm sure. But I mean, hell, we could take my boat, but I think the real fishermen are to get together and fish a tournament. I think it'd be fun. Show these boys what's up.
That's right. JR wouldn't know what to do though because we ain't fished for catfish. So
Oh,
you know,
I used to be a striper. I striper fished.
and then
for
you know
15
Wes,
years.
you know he wants
I'm
to.
one of the
that
I'm one of the
cut bait
best striper
spot.
fishermen you'll ever meet, fella.
Oh, I love
Just
cut
because
bait.
I never went to Tennessee and caught giant stripers don't mean I'm not a good striper. Come on.
That's right.
Bigger striper come on cut bait. Always has and probably always will unless the whole dynamic of the fish changes.
Lace, I was talking to my buddy Lacey tonight, and he said, hang on, let me get this comment off of here. He said, you ever, he said, you ought to get Peter to, he's talking about you, Peter. He was on your nuts bad.
Oh boy.
It was all good. Like, he's like a fan, he's like a fanboy. He's like a Peter fanboy.
Oh man,
And
yes.
he's like, yeah, he was basically telling me I wouldn't want to get in a tournament against you. And I was like, psh, man.
So
It's coming. It's coming. I'm gonna get in a crappy
trying.
tournament.
Yeah, I'll just say this now. You know, I saw the Facebook post the other day, and I am going to try this year. Everyone gives me hell. They're like, you know what, you fish all the local tournaments in NC and you do pretty good. You need to take your ass to SC and finally fish one. Well, you know what? I think we're going to try to fish this one in January coming out. So we'll see. And we're going to try my method of lead core as well. So see how it goes. If it does happen, at least.
Yes, it's the little Christmas tree. I put it in the background. I'm gonna take it back in the living room whenever the show's over. Calm
Hey
down.
man, hey, y'all leave that little Christmas tree alone. I think that's cooler than a fan.
That's my wife. She said, "Is that my Christmas tree?" Yeah, I thought it'd be cool for the show. I brought it in here and put it in the corner there. Calm
Hey,
down.
Angel,
Calm down.
Angel, that Christmas tree is cooler than Freddie Jackson sipping a milkshake. You leave it alone.
My daughter, she commented before Angel and said, "You're about to get in trouble."
Oh, you took your wife's tree?
Yeah. That's the living room tree. I put it in
You
here.
didn't think she was gonna miss that?
I didn't think. I mean, they don't really watch the show, so I don't know what they're doing watching it right now.
Someone
Well,
snitched on
probably for that
someone.
tree.
Yes, I think my daughter probably snitched on me.
Yep.
It's nothing new.
Shame.
Oh, there's Wes's belly.
We don't want to see that beer gut. Come on.
I'm trying to show you my dog. Come here, Cop. Come over here. You want to get on TV?
Yeah, we got that SBC in January, the Winter Classic. You going to get in it, Peter?
I'm going to try, I think. Yeah, it's all about my work schedule and everything, but we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, that work will get in your way sometimes.
Yeah, I'm starting to pull a little seniority now, so
I would like to, if I do fish it, I would like to bring some good bait. I mean, yeah, I'll probably buy some bait from Lake Hartwell Outdoor Center, but I would like to have some choice. At least maybe 4 to 6. Just monster gizzard shad.
see, here's where you and I will differ because I'm going to be trolling artificial.
Oh my
So-
God! Not if you're on the boat with us, you're not.
Well, bring my own damn boat down there.
Hey, I tell you
Listen,
what,
JR,
Peter.
People
A
say
couple
what
years
they want
ago,
to. I do not fish big bait in the wintertime. When that water gets that cold in January,
Exactly. Thank you.
I've never heard of a big striper hitting a big bait when that water's that cold.
yeah.
I'm not saying it
Well,
can't happen, but they just don't like big bait.
Well, we're talking. I'm not worried about, showing up to the weigh-in with respect. I'm not worried about I don't care if I get skunked. That's the difference between me and most people when they
But if
fish
you're fishing a
tournaments. is
tournament, you want to win it. Don't
they
you?
want to go ahead and catch a couple of fish so they can show up to the weigh-in, and then they'll try to target bigger fish.
Well, that's
Not
the
me.
whole
I
thing.
want to target bigger fish out the gate. I want all my rods to have giant baits on them, and if I don't catch a fish, I don't catch a fish. That's just the way
But
I
you're
like
probably
to roll.
not going to catch a fish with a big bait when that water's 50 degrees.
Probably not, but there's a
Yeah.
chance.
We can tell all quick.
There is a chance. Those big fish, they don't act like everybody wants to go out and pattern the fish. There's no point in patterning the fish. There's absolutely no point in going and pre-fishing, patterning the fish, trying to figure out. There's no point because the big fish aren't doing what all those other fish are doing.
Well, me and Shane Howerton, we were pulling 8 to 6 inch trout, not real big, up on Back Creek on Loudon. We fished that creek and pulled it back and forth for 4 hours and couldn't get a bite. And Shane put a little thread fin out there off the transom. Actually, on the skip, one of Lori's skipjack rods on a little old pin found 42-pound striper. It took us 30 minutes to get him to the boat. We had to chase him, but
you'll have that.
I'm gonna tell you one of my methods for searching for big fish, and we'll talk about stripers and the hybrids, the whole works. Obviously, where you find a whole bunch of birds, there's fish there, okay? But if I'm looking for a big fish, and let's backtrack here real quick. I used to striper fish with live bait and everything, all the various lakes years and years ago, and I'd try to search for a big fish occasionally. But what I do is, when I'm pre-fishing in the wintertime, I'll ride the lake. And Lake Norman is also a good example here. I will look for pockets that have just a couple birds. I'm not looking for 30, 40, 50, 100 birds slam in the area. I'm looking for about a dozen, maybe 8, 10, 12, no more than 2 dozen at most. That's where the big fish are. And that's what allowed me to win Lake Norman last February, because I went into a pocket there in a state park, and I kid you not, I counted exactly 8 birds working the area. And I'm like,
do you think that those fish might be feeding on a bait fish that's maybe the same bait fish as the bait fish that the large schools of birds are feeding on, but maybe they're a different hatch? Maybe they're they're older or younger.
I think it's more so about the fact that these.
Hey, put Scott Perry's comment up.
I think it's more of a fact that the bait's pretty scattered, and the big fish don't want to move that far. But the smaller fish, they're always on the go. They're always schooling together. They're always going elsewhere.
Yes.
The bigger fish are more individual or pairs or threes. And again, we're kind of combining the two together, the stripers and hybrids as well. So I found areas with scattered baits, just a few birds working, right water temperature. That's what I look for.
I think they fish are like animals. Look at the animal kingdom, like lions. When they know where to, when the herd of zebra come through, or the herd of antelope, or whatever they're feeding on, if any other lions come in there, then that pride, the leader of that pride, or any member of that pride, is going to run those other lions off. That's their area, And I think that larger fish, they're in their own little ecosystem, and they're not going to allow any other fish to come around. So they're loners.
And I got a buddy that before the most recent Clark's Hill fish kill, he would always target large fish at Clark's Hill in the wintertime as well.
Yes, I wasn't distinguishing that they weren't. I know they're animals, David, but I was just trying to distinguish the difference in the larger fish versus the smaller fish. I'm sorry, Peter, go ahead.
Yeah, but he's he mentioned the same exact thing too. When he's searching for big fish in the winter months, he stays away from the big bird action out there, and he'll go into these little pockets where he sees a couple picking. That's it.
Yeah. Scott Perry said own ecosystem. Got it. Yeah, that's correct. Scott, I don't know that you've ever won a tournament where it wasn't a point system. You've had some points championships, and that makes sense because you catch small fish. So.
I don't think Scott knows how to catch a hybrid on Lake Norman. Just saying,
No, Scott does catch big fish, but the tournament trails that he's been in, the way he fishes, he basically is targeting small fish. He's going after seasonal patterns. He's going out, he's pre-fishing, he's finding schools of fish, lowering baits to them. He's getting keeper fish, and then he's culling, and he's showing up to the weigh-in. And instead of fishing all day for 1 or 2 fish, he's catching a lot of fish and just culling.
So JR, what you're saying is Scott Perry had rather had 100 pennies than he had full course.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I'm gonna be that guy. See, right now I'm fishing with my buddy Alan, and Alan is wanting to fish these catfish tournaments like a striper fisherman, and that's 1% of the opposite of the way I like to fish. I go along with it because it's fun. I like it. I enjoy it. And we still have a chance to catch a big fish doing that. But I like to fish very methodically, very slow with giant baits. And I go where I think the fish should be. I don't try to mark the fish or any of that bull crap. I'm trying to catch a giant fish. And if I get skunked, the chances of me getting skunked are greater than the chances of me catching a giant fish. And that's just how I like to fish. I just soon get skunked than as I would to show up to the weigh-in with respect.
Well, how do you methodically fish for catfish?
Okay.
I don't know what that word means.
I'm going to try different types of structure. For example, the main river channel. I might troll the ledges of the main river channel for a while. Okay. And then I might move up and troll the flats for a while. And then I might troll the actual channel for a while. And then I might go hit creek channel for a while. Then I might hit the opposite side of the creek channel for a while. And I might fish a main lake point. I might drag a main lake point for a little while. I'm fishing areas that should hold fish, that could hold fish.
So are you patient at all? Like if you mark
extremely patient. No, I'm not. I don't care about marking fish. I turn my graph off. I don't need my graph. Only thing I need my graph for is to look at the contours, the depths, the stuff like that, the structure. I'm fishing very, very slow, 0.2, 0.3. And it's very methodical, and I'm very patient, and the bite will come. And when it does come, it's going to be a fish that's worth bringing to the weigh-in. That's the way I like to fish. So here's a little shot of the day one of the Big Money Showdown. There was a kid there by the name of Flathead Luke that caught a pig, and it's in this video. Here we go. I think that was like a tag or something.
I don't know. It's been there a while though.
That's a zip tie.
Yeah.
Somebody tried to tag it. They tagged it with a zip tie instead of a tag.
Oh yeah.
I ain't never seen that before.
Welcome to the Southeast Big Money Showdown.
I believe this is Team Mako, am I right? I know these fellas right good.
It's got a tag.
Does it? Oh wow, it does. Awesome.
And the London boys, or one London boy.
Yeah, what was the zip tie about, guys? Y'all have any idea what that could have been about?
That's a trailer park tag.
Well, I think that you might be right. I think that somebody might have wanted to tag the fish and didn't have any tags, and put a zip tie on it.
Hoping they might catch it later. How do they know if somebody else caught the fish?
Yeah, well, that is
Like
true.
Zip tie code.
That is definitely true. But maybe they were, banking on them catching again later. Who knows? Or maybe there was a tag on it. Maybe they just used a zip tie to attach the tag, and the tag just fell off, but the zip tie remained. Who knows?
Yeah, I hadn't did it yet. I've got the gray tag from a company Chuck set me up with. I'm going to tag some striper this year. I didn't get it till after I left last year at Chesapeake Bay, but I'm definitely going to tag some striper this year up there. So
That'd be awesome.
yeah, he got me the tag kit on gray tag.
So Peter, Wes, if you guys get in, are you planning on getting in at Wes, the SBC, the Winter Classic, the big one in January? No.
I don't really care about. I don't care about tournament fishing. I think it's a bunch of bullshit.
Well, it's fun, one tournament a year. It's you can do one tournament a year. Come on.
I just fished it last year because you and Michael Walker, it was me, you, Walker, and Perry. It was just who I was fishing with. It wasn't about fishing.
Yeah.
Dude, I just don't care about Hartwell. Hartwell's a piss hole to me.
Well, you're gonna fish it. You're gonna fish it again this year. So.
But Hartwell's just the
I don't know if I want to
biggest
fish with Peter because I don't know about pulling A-rigs, but
Shoot,
that might be the ticket on Hartwell because I think big fish at the last Winter Classic was only
17 pounds.
17 pounds was the big fish. So
I was looking at some of the 2 fish totals. I'm like, damn, that's kind of consistent with what I do around here.
exactly. So let me ask you this,
Hartwell
Peter.
was
If you're going to pull artificials on Hartwell in the SBC Winter Classic, would you change anything up, or would you do it basically the same way that you do everywhere else, or would you change your baits and go with bigger baits?
I
soft plastics?
would pretty much do what I'll do anywhere else, but the biggest thing that I look for, number one, is water temperature. That's my big go-to. If it's touching 51, 50, 49, 48, it's cold as hell outside, I will use as small as I can get away with.
That's fine.
Okay.
Now, here's what I've never understood about water temperature. Okay, my transducer tells me that water is 50 degrees. How do I know how cold that water is 20 feet below my boat or 30 feet below my boat?
You have to drop a thermometer down there and let it stay for like 10 minutes, then pull it up real fast.
I have a technique that works for me.
What is that?
My damn downrigger tells me how cold it is. Because if I bring that thing up and it's ice cold, I know it's cold. If I bring it up and it's burning hot, there's a thermocline down there.
Okay. I 2 years ago, the SBC, I think it was 2019, wasn't it? The one that I filmed where James Long came in 6th place. Brian Bear won it.
Yeah.
Yeah. James Long actually pulled artificials. He caught his fish. I don't know if it was Umbrella rigs or Alabama. I think it was Alabama rigs. He came in 6th place using Alabama rigs.
David Mercer. David said he's got a smart troll device that shows temp and depth.
That is nice.
What is that, David?
The Smart Troll device that shows temp and depth. That's how does that work? Yeah, I'm interested to know how that works.
I've never heard of that before.
There you go, Alan.
He's in high gear tonight.
Alan said he'll fish with me. SBC on the Carolina skiff. He said A-Rig, Scott Perry said A-Rig. I think that's, wait a minute. 2 years ago, that would have been 2020. Yeah, he said that's the only time he would think about pulling A-Rig is in January. So, I mean, that kind of aligns with everything you guys are saying about it being cold, using smaller baits, et cetera.
What's the difference in an Alabama rig, an A-Rig, and an umbrella rig?
The Alabama rig is the wires come off the head at an angle. Like a U-rig is just straight. You know what I mean? Does that make any sense?
Okay, I've seen some of these look like they're that wide.
Yeah, those are your umbrella rigs there.
Umbrella rigs, okay.
Correct. Your Alabama rigs are your small ones that are all wire. Your Alabama rigs are
you can bend the arms on an Alabama rig. You can bend them. They're small. The umbrella rig is very thick gauge metal. It's just straight. You don't bend it at all. And then you have leaders coming off of it with swim baits, a lot bigger swim baits. The Alabama rig, everything's just smaller and castable.
Kevin Christopher wants to know whose wife's got their vibrator on high.
That would be Peter's computer, his fan on his computer.
I thought you were going to say that's Peter's vibrator.
Damn, boy. Yeah, no, so, as far as the January tournament, man, for me, the way I do things, the colder the better. I mean, if it's ice cold and it's been in the 20s and teens at night and low 40s during the day, that's
because the fish stack up. Everything's stacked up, and you can find them mainly in the thermocline. You're probably going to go down to the lower end of the lake, the big pool is what they call it, and you're gonna ride around until you mark fish schooled up in the thermocline. And like on Lake Norman, you're looking at they might be suspended in 30, 40 feet of water, 50 feet of water, over 80 feet of water, and you're just going to troll your A-rigs through them, and that's what you're planning to do. That's your plan. That's your big elusive secret plan on Hartwell. Peter?
I've never been to the lake, so I can't say I have an elusive secret plan, but, sure. Okay. It's
you're,
not as
you're
easy.
going after school fish. You're going
It's
after
not,
school
it's not as
fish.
easy as going through market fish.
You're going after school fish, but the thing is, though, is you're going to have to beat the guys that fish like I do. You're going to have to beat the guys that go out there with hammerheads that are pulling live 15-inch, 18-inch gizzard shad on boards, free lining them, trolling at 0.2 that might not catch a fish, but if they do, they're going to kick your ass. So you're going to go out there, you're going to waste all that, use all that gas and money and time and effort to show up to the weigh-in with schooly fish.
Absolutely, yeah.
It could win it. It could win it.
Yeah.
Perry.
It frequently does.
Why don't you bring your ass on the show and quit commenting so much and get on here and tell us how you're going to win the SBC this year?
Scott's got a very valid point in all this. Scott knows as good as anyone else that, that time of year you can't troll small live baits because they won't survive on the hook, period.
No.
So that's where someone like myself.
Well, your bait tank water has to be, they have to acclimate. If the water temp, let's say the water temp is 42 degrees and the bait fish aren't going to be up on that surface 42 degree, surface water. They're going to be deeper where the water is more warm. And let's say the bait, I don't know what you'd have to figure out what the temperature is. If the bait is in the thermocline, let's say the bait's suspended 40 feet over 80 feet of water, you would have to find out what that water temp is in that water column, that part of the water column. And that's what you would have to bring your bait tank water temp to that temperature.
Do you think that in the wintertime, when I say wintertime, when it's bone cold outside in the 40s, okay, or let's just say it's a very cold morning in the 20s, the surface water temperature is 48, okay?
Okay.
You think from the moment you put that little
it's going to go, they're going to go in shock. They're going to go in
hook,
shock. But if you can get them down quick, they'll come out of shock.
As quick as possible, do you think that little bait's going to survive all the way down to 30 foot?
If you can get them down to where the water temp matches the bait tank water temp within 5-6 degrees, then I think that you'd probably be all right. But who's going to go out there and find out what the water temp is in the thermocline on Lake Hartwell in January?
But small bait fish is hard enough to keep alive during the right conditions.
Yeah.
Much less when you've got freezing conditions and trying to get them to acclimate to something. I'm like Pete on them.
Right.
I believe I'd pull an A-rig or something before I try to do all that. Stop it.
Yeah. Well, that's what we did last time, Wes. Maybe that's why we came in 35th out of 100 and something boats, which isn't too bad, actually, by the way. That wasn't bad. 35th place out of 108 boats.
But we were fishing in the back of a creek. We weren't trying to fish in 100 foot of water and trying to catch a suspended fish dropping down 60 feet. We wouldn't. I think the deepest we fished was like 40 foot that morning. We wasn't in no deep waters.
I know absolutely zero about Hartwell. So me going there, if I go, and don't worry about it. I don't want any advice yet. I want to know I'm going first before I'll start doing research and everything.
Listen, look at my fingers. PISSHOLE.
Scott said, pull a Mongo gizzard in 48 degree water. That gizzard's going to be blood red within 2 minutes. Okay, well, bring enough Mongo gizzards to change your baits out every 2 minutes. There you go. Problem solved.
Hold on, guys. I got to let this big red bastard out. Come on.
Yeah, so I'm debating turn on Saturday. I'm going virtually zero pre-fishing. So
okay, so I got a weird prediction here.
Oh boy.
Okay, so Peter, we already know your game plan. You're going to go try to catch schoolie fish on A-rigs like you're fishing Lake Norman for hybrids or some shit. So you're probably going to finish, probably no better than 30th out of 100 plus boats. So somebody like David Mercer's pulling these giant segmented baits. How do you feel about that? Why wouldn't you try to incorporate that, at least one bait like that, into your spread?
It's like this: if it ain't broke, don't fix it. For me,
I'm gonna go ahead and predict David Mercer kicks all of our ass in the SBC because he's going to be pulling, because he doesn't have to worry about his giant gizzard shad turning blood red in 2 minutes because it's not real, it's fake, it's made out of plastic.
I hope he does kick all our asses. Someone local here.
What I know about striper fishing, striped bass, and this is just from a little bit of experience, what wintertime fishing I did, but when the water gets anywhere, especially below 50 degrees, they're going to go to smaller bait.
But
just
see
like
what
it-
you're saying though is that's the majority of fish, Wes. That's the majority of fish. These giant fish
The biggest
don't play
fish
by the
I've ever-
rules.
the biggest striper I've ever caught in the wintertime was the one me and Shane caught, 42 pounds on a thread fin about 4 inches long, and we pulled trout in that same creek for 6 hours without a bite. We
What
threw that
lake
one
were you
thread
on? Was
fin
that
out
on
there,
Hartwell?
and it wasn't out there an hour.
Was that on Hartwell?
No, that was on Bat Creek in Tennessee.
Okay, well you're in big fish territory. Kind of changes things. Alan
Yeah,
says, "I want to
Gail likes
fish."
talking about these schooly fish, but I've caught a dang shit ton of mid, low, upper teen fish trolling the same thing they were talking about. So it ain't always
you
about trolling for schooly little fish.
When you've got 100+ boats fishing a tournament on a lake, and the biggest fucking fish is 17 pounds, something's wrong.
I
It's a
agree.
piss hole.
I agree.
Hartwell is a piss hole.
That it seems like every time they have the SBC on Hartwell, the conditions are just absolutely horrible.
And they go from decent to shit the day of the tournament.
It's
like
a
you
cold
do on
front. A
North
cold
Patrick.
front will come through, and we all know that when you're having 50-degree weather for a month, and then all of a sudden you get a front that comes in, a peak moon brings in a 20-degree weather. You're talking about a 30-degree drop in temperature. It shuts the fish off. And it seems like every single year we have the Winter Classic on Hartwell. That's what happens. It's either a cold front or an extreme wind. I remember the 2019, man, the wind was just absolutely howling. Like
Yeah, I saw that.
it was like a sustained 30 with like 50 gust. It was something ridiculous.
You know, I can fish in the bone cold. I can fish in the heat. I can fish in this. I can fish in that.
Not
But
in
you
winter.
get that damn wind at over 15 miles an hour. I can't do that. That's enough.
I like that, Shane. Yeah, hero or zero. Swing for the fences. Shane says he's going to cut bait Hartwell in the SBC. I think that if Shane catches, how many fish do you bring to the weigh-in
He's
in the
not going to
SBC?
fish the SBC. He's
two?
pulling your leg.
Is it 2 fish?
Yeah,
I think it's 2 fish, yeah.
Yeah. If Shane catches 2 fish, cut baiting, he's probably going to be in the top 10.
If Shane Howard can fish at the SBC this year, I'll kiss your ass live on this show. I'll drive to North Carolina to do it.
If he what?
If Shane Howard fishes the SBC this year, I'll
If he
kiss your ass
fishes
live
it.
on this show.
Okay, that's going to be an awesome
He ain't gonna
episode.
fish no SBC.
All right. Which
Y'all are
boat do you-
motivating me. Y'all motivating me right now to make sure I get those days off to dang Fish's tournament so I can dang prove everyone wrong.
Hey, it's the biggest striper tournament in the Southeast. I mean, maybe nationally. And it's a huge tournament. They give away a boat. They give away all kinds of stuff.
I would fish it if they would do it on
25,000 to the
Clarksville.
winner. It's a huge tournament.
If they would do it on Clarks Hill, I would fish it most definitely. I just don't like Hartwell. Hartwell's my home lake. First place I ever caught a striped bass. But there's just find it. Catching a 30-pound striper in Hartwell right now would be like catching another yellowfin, like we did out there last week. Needle in a haystack.
Yeah.
But-
Unfortunately, that's probably true.
We gonna try. We'll see.
But JR, no, seriously, if something happens and I do decide to fish it, I'll have my boat here. If Scott don't want to fish it, or if he can't, we'll take my boat if you want to.
Well, Alan's wanting to fish it, and
okay.
he's got a Carolina skiff. So if me, you, Alan, and Scott, and well, I don't know if Peter will want to fish with us since he's wanting to pull A rigs. I don't. Maybe we can maybe we can talk Peter into fishing with us, and we can just pull A rigs like half the day or something.
Hey,
Maybe we can compromise.
Pete, you come get on my boat. We'll fish it and pull A rigs. I'm down for that.
How about you come on my damn boat? We'll do it. Let's do it.
Yeah. Well, Peter, which boat are you going to take, Peter? The Bulls Bay?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, you already get an advantage right there. Just having the Bulls Bay on Hartwell gives you an advantage.
Yeah. You
What
catch
we
this
gonna
fish,
pull?
man.
How does that give him an advantage? If he's going to pull A rigs, we're not going to be in the fucking.
Because it's a damn fish catching son of a bitch. That's why.
Wow.
Alan
that
said
makes
he'll
it take off
drink
the
and
Bulls Bay.
I can fish and Wes will have a great time. That sounds like a plan.
Alan Oliver, let me tell you a little secret about Alan. I took Alan up to a place up in Tennessee. Alan got his personal best striper. The following year,
And it's on his wall.
my personal best striper was a 54-pound in Chesapeake Bay. Alan gets on my boat. The second morning, we only got to fish 2 days because of the weather that trip. The second day, we were putting rods out. Hadn't even got all the rods out. Rod goes off. And Alan's standing at the reel. And I didn't realize Alan could not hear good out of one ear. And I'm hollering, get it, get it, get it, get it. And he's like, huh? I said, get it. And I'm pointing. I said, the rod, get it. And he turned around and it was just bowed down, just smoking. 55-pound striper. So Alan's got 2 of his personal best fish on my boat.
Alan said he's good luck charm. You need to fish more tournaments with him.
I know, right? Alan is a great guy. We got that fish in the boat up there in Tennessee, and it was still flopping in the boat. And I was reaching to get the pliers to get the hook out of his mouth, and I heard Alan talking. And I said, hold on a minute, bud. I'll be with you in a minute. Let me get this hook out of his mouth. And he kept on talking, and I looked behind him, and he already on the phone with his wife.
Yeah, that fish is on his wall. He mounted that fish. Monster fish. He's all, the fish that he caught with you in Chesapeake Bay is also on his wall.
But listen to this, Pete. So JR and Lacey, they're about 200 yards north of us. And
we caught a big fish that night too.
They caught a huge striper.
Matter of fact, I think that me and Lacey might have the biggest fish that's ever been caught, biggest striper that's ever been caught on Alan's boat, I think.
So anyway, they're up there hollering, screaming, and then they finally call us. They said, we told y'all we was going to whoop that ass. We got this. I forgot how big they said it was. They said, get y'all some of this, boys. And then Alan was hollering, woo, we were hollering, raising hell.
Yeah, we thought that they were hollering like celebrating our catch. We didn't realize they were celebrating their own catch. So we released our fish. We came back to where they were anchored, and we anchored beside of them. And we were like, telling them about our monster fish that we just caught and let go, which was probably 30-pound, 35-pound fish. Well, Alan, Wes says, no, y'all didn't catch a bigger fish than us. And of course, I'm calling their bluff. I'm like, bull crap. There's no way y'all caught a bigger fish than we did. And Wes says, Alan, open that cooler. Alan opens the cooler and pulls a 46-pound striper out of the cooler. I'm like, okay, yeah, that one's a little bit bigger than ours.
Yeah. Scott Perry says side pot. I'm game for that. If it happens, but we could do a monetary side pot, or we can throw cases of beer together, and the winner gets all the cases of beer.
No, then we have to go back to Scott's house and have a big chain gang party.
Well, I tell you, that me and Jay, our first trip me and Scott and JR made together, Lord have mercy on our soul.
Bourbon, Scott, I love that idea. Bourbon, yes, a bottle of bourbon.
Scott, JR brought, who brought that liquor? JR brought a bottle of McKenna Creek. And
yes. Oh my God.
And JR said, he said, I just want to bring this to you, Scott. It's the first time I got to fish with you, kind of like an offering.
Yeah, I didn't want to come empty handed. I knew he drank McKenna Creek, so I stopped and got him a bottle of McKenna Creek. Got his wife a bottle of wine.
So Scott looked over and smiled at me, and I said, no, because I knew what he was wanting to do. And I said, no, man, we fishing, dude. He said, no. He said, hey, JR. He said, I think it's just, it wouldn't be right. He said, you brought this bottle. We're just going to take one drink. We're going to toast. That's just what we need to do. At the end of the day, they drink that whole fucking fifth of McKenna Creek. Well, Scott drank the majority of it. But JR.
It's bullshit. Bullshit.
Oh, JR was shit-faced.
Oh, my God. Yes, I was.
I see no problem here.
So, JR jumps out
Scott
in the
says
water.
he likes me better drunk than he does sober.
So, JR jumps in the water, and the water's about 55, maybe 58 degrees. In the summer, they were pulling water off from Hartwell Dam down into Russell. And Scott was cutting up bait, and he had took a piece of bait off one of the rods to rebait it that was a trout head. And he just slung it, and he didn't mean to, and it hit JR right in the face.
I don't remember that.
You don't remember that?
No.
And he had like fish shit, blood or something all over his face. And I said, damn, Scott. I said, you even face that trout. He said, he don't even know it.
I got a lot of footage on that trip, and I tried to make a video, and I ended up making a little video. It sucked. Yeah, but the reason it sucked is because 90% of the footage that I had, I had this huge booger just like sitting like right here. I'm like, why didn't you guys tell me I had this huge booger right here? Like all of my footage that I'm like holding my camera out and like filming and talking to myself, like for the the video. Yeah, I'm talking about our trip, what we're doing, and all that stuff. Yeah, I had a huge giant booger right here. I couldn't use any of it.
Well, guys, I got to go because I got to get up early in the morning.
All right, Peter. We'll see you next week.
Next time.
See you, buddy.
We'll see you.
All right, I'm back, Joe.
See how quiet it is?
Yeah. I didn't know you had a booger in your nose. It's the first time
I did, man. Yeah, a huge booger, like just hanging right here on my nose. It wasn't on my nose. It was like on my upper lip. It was just like sitting there. Yeah.
Damn.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
that was a very fun trip.
It was. I had a blast. I remember I was trying to help you off the boat. You were staggering around. You fell twice.
Don't even remember.
Look here. You fell asleep on my arm. I was driving, because Scott had been drinking a little bit. So I drove. You fell asleep over there in my arm.
Did I?
Yeah. And I was petting you on the head.
Wow.
Scott knew what he was doing when he opened that bottle of liquor. And I knew it was coming.
Yeah, he didn't care.
No, I tried to say something. Of course, he didn't listen.
Hey, we caught a couple fish on that trip too, though.
Yeah, we did.
Ain't that the trip where we caught the fish that looked like it run into the dam? Like its face was like smashed.
Yeah.
How many people can fish tournament? I don't think there's a limit, is there?
Yeah, I think 4 people can be on a boat. I think 4 anglers.
Okay.
And you can have one lady angler up per boat and 1 kid angler per boat, I think. But it's a good tournament, and they raise a lot of food, a lot of money for the homeless people. But I just don't like Hartwell, man. I just say something about that lake. I've never had really good luck on it. And I guess, and I went from there to Tennessee and started catching fish like I did in Tennessee. And, of course, Hartwell, there's no comparison. It don't even get close.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why I just don't. And now that I'm saltwater fishing, it definitely does not do nothing for me at all. But it's my home lake. I should like it more than I do, but it's just a piss hole. Even the guides, a lot of the guides here, they left Hartwell and went up to Kiwi, and they're taking parties out catching spots.
Really?
Yeah.
That's bad. It's bad when the guides are taking people and catching spots.
Yeah. So I don't understand why but I do. They have it on Hartwell because, you got what's the name of the boat ramp there? What is it?
I can't remember.
I can't even remember either. Scott, what's the name of the big boat ramp there? Anyway,
you're saying they have the tournament there because of the boat ramp?
Yeah, well, no, the boat ramp of Anderson County, I think, gives them a lot of money, or they give them a lot of stuff to come.
Okay, yeah.
And because they really promote it because it brings a lot of revenue to Anderson. Then they give them the Anderson Civic Center down there, to do the whatever that place is where they
Green Pond
captain's meeting. So that's Green Pond land, yeah. So I think that's why they do it in Anderson. I'd love to see it done on Murray. I don't even know a lot about Murray. I'd fish it on Murray or Clark's Hill. I just fished it with you and Scott and Michael because I just wanted to hang out with y'all and have a good time. I didn't do it for the tournament, just to say.
No, you did it. You did it for the culture. You did it for the culture.
That's, Scott.
You enjoyed it.
Scott Perry, he gets in a different mode when he tournament fishes. And I don't know if you noticed. He don't really kid a lot. It's not, about cutting up. He's looking at that depth finder.
He's professional.
Yeah.
He's very professional, and that's good. At least one person on the boat needs to be a professional,
Damn, Alan Oliver said he don't cuddle.
Oh my gosh!
Oh shit! Look who graced us with their presence.
We got the chief in here. Look, he's got a serious look on his face.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, we lost him.
He had to go out there and check the bean. But yeah, Scott puts on that. He's just totally different when he fishes a tournament. I mean, and it's Daniel Skipper. A lot of them guys, they love tournament fishing. It's just I just ain't never really cared for it because I don't like being on somebody else's clock. It's like you got a time limit and you have to do this and you have to perform. And, it's just, to me, it's a lot of pressure. But, some people like it. Perry loves tournament fishing. What's up, Scott?
What's up? Can you hear me?
We can hear you, brother.
Damn, you getting off? It's
No,
been a
I'm
good
not.
show.
No, I'm not. I'm going to stay on for a little while if JR wants to.
Scott wants to get on when it's time to get off.
Yeah, I just want to get on to say goodbye. It's been a good show.
All right.
Hey.
So are you gonna fish the same way this year, Scott, as you did last year?
I don't know if I'm fishing.
Oh, yeah. Because you don't typically fish the SBCs, do you?
Yeah, I fished almost all of them. I missed one. I finished fifth.
Did you fish the one that I came down and fished with Benji?
Yeah.
Oh, did you fish that one? Okay.
I finished fifth the first year on Hartwell.
When was the first year on Hartwell?
I think it was 18.
18, that sounds right.
Well, I don't know. They had the very first one was on Murray. And then the rest have been on Hartwell.
Do you know where
Scott,
the Winter
is that the
Classic's
one?
going to be this year? This next one?
What is it?
The next Winter Classics are going to be on Hartwell?
Yeah, the 7th, Saturday the 7th.
Okay.
Captain means the 6th, I think.
Okay.
Hey, Scott, is that the one at Murray? Is that the one where Casey Ashley sang the anthem and I built that fire down there at the boat ramp out of them pallets and the DNR run me off?
Yeah, that was the first one. We had I think there was 102 boats. It was something crazy.
Hey, it looked, before y'all blasted off out there that morning, I wish I still had that video. It looked like a small city lit up out there. 100 plus boats in that little area. It's like it had the whole world lit up. Now, how did you and Heather do in that one?
I think we were like teens, something, 17, 18.
That's awesome. I'll be right back, fella. We got to grab something to drink.
JR says I down ride for little fish. JR, I never down ride in tournaments, ever. That SBC was the first time I ever down rided, and that was because pre-fishing it was working. I'm not a down ride fisherman. I like to pull bait.
Like we were saying earlier, Lake Hartwell's not a trophy striper fishery anymore.
I mean, there's some good fish in there, but even when it was, January was tough. Like when our water temperature gets down in the low 50s, high 40s, even when Hartwell was prime, I mean, it was tough. You can catch some big ones, but fish get lethargic, man. They don't feed as much. When you thread fins, when your water gets in the low 50s, thread fins start to die off. They have big fish kills. And when we have big fish kills, I mean, you can be pulling bait and just see them busting bait, and they won't eat unless you have what they're feeding on. And that's little thread fins. And I'm not saying big bait catches fish, but when the thread fins are dying off, it's tough because they got a smorgasbord of whatever they want.
Would a smaller like a floating minnow work?
I mean, maybe that's just I'm kind of like you. I mean, I would rather pull bigger. I mean, I'm at the minimum I'm pulling herring or shiners. Shiners work good because they're hardy and they're small.
They're
I just never had luck with. I just hate shiners. The only time I like shiners is when they're on dock lights at night on Norman. The stripers, the hybrids. That's one thing that they actually do have in common. The stripers and hybrids on Norman is in the springtime they start to come around the dock lights, and that's the only time I ever really like to use shiners. But literally anything would work when they're on those dock lights. Minnows, shiners, crappie minnows.
Well, I mean, when it's a tournament and you're forced to fish at that time of year in that condition, I mean,
I think that Mercer
You have
might
to
do well
adapt.
that time of year using the kind of fishing, the tactics that he's implementing with the downriggers, with the artificials, the larger artificials.
I mean,
And
artificials have won it before, but I mean, percentage wise, I'm not a big artificial guy. They do win tournaments.
You don't really see a lot of guys. I mean, you do see the guys. Okay, lead core. There's guys that do that. There's guys that pull A rigs. There's guys that pull U rigs. There's guys that pull tandem swim baits, paddle tail swim baits. There's stuff like that. Been doing that for years. That's not uncommon at all. See, there'll be people in the SBC doing that. Peter Malik's going to do that, but you don't see as much guys that fish like Mercer's doing with incorporating downriggers, using big segmented those baits that cost like $50 a piece. You don't see many guys using those types of tactics, and it'll be interesting to see how he does.
There's a guy that Griswold, he fishes these big deep diving baits. I mean, he was not a great live bait fisherman. He would fish striper kings with us, and he would not do that great during March, April, May that's live bait season to me. And but January, February, December, he would do really good on artificials. I think it's a lot to do with artificials. Kind of like, if you got confidence in what you're fishing with, it's a lot too.
Yeah, I think it's got a lot to do with what the bait fish are doing that time of year.
A lot of people try to half-ass stuff. That's like what I call like half-assing is like pulling mongo, gizzard shad, and herring. You can't really do them both together. I mean, you can, but you want to pull your shad a little faster, and then you want to pull your herring slower. Well, a lot of people try to pull A rigs with live bait, and I mean, you're gonna have to. If you're gonna go artificial, you're gonna have to go artificial.
Yeah. The same way, like with catfish, if you try to incorporate trophy-sized baits in your spread, it's kind of hard to, like grocery store baits, for example, or small bait. If you're pulling small baits or you're pulling chicken, then you control faster because you're going to be catching smaller fish. Smaller fish they can tolerate you trolling fast. They don't care if you're trolling faster. They're going to hit the bait regardless. I think a lot of the bigger fish, they're just more lethargic and they want a slower moving bait. So you just really have to slow it way down. And then when you slow it way down, you can't cover as much water. And that reason alone is going to increase your chances of getting skunked because you're not covering as much water.
Now, ain't there some kind of law, and I don't know about South Carolina, but when you're using A rigs or umbrella rigs or Alabama rigs, ain't there something about how many baits you can have per rig on it?
It's the amount of hooks. You can have as many baits as you want, but you can only have, like in Tennessee, I think you can only have 3 hooks on an Alabama rig. There's 5 arms.
In South Carolina, you could put 20 hooks on. They don't care.
Yeah.
What do you think of that hat right there?
I like it. I like that. I bet that's kind of a hard hat to find. Where'd you find that hat?
On it too. Where'd you find that at?
Hartwell Outdoor Center.
True Value. Or Ace Hardware. Ace Hardware.
No kidding.
With a striper on it.
Mm-hmm.
What Ace did you find it at?
In Malden.
So you found a Costa hat with a striper at a hardware store?
Yep.
Wow. Is it a real Costa?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I'm questioning it because you found an awesome striper Costa hat that I've never seen at a freaking hardware store. Sure is.
Well, Ace Hardware don't carry secondhand stuff. They're an expensive hardware store.
They're expensive as hell.
Yeah. I was thinking, maybe Mary Jo down the street maybe knew the manager and said, "Hey, can I sell, this LuLaRoe stuff right here?" And he was probably like, "Yeah, sure." And it just happened to be a Costa hat. No, it's a real Costa hat. That's awesome. I'd like to have one of those.
I'll send it to you.
Maybe I can find one on eBay. So did you get a replacement for your Costa sunglasses?
Actually, we just sent off the broke ones. But since Costa's pretty cool, man.
Okay, baby.
They emailed us and said
Way out of the
the
mailbox.
warranty is good. You know, we're going to give you another pair.
Now, did you have to have the receipt or like proof of purchase? Or, no.
And they said, pick a pair out of these, but they didn't send us a link to pick a pair, right? So
Yeah.
it just said, because mine were discontinued.
Right.
So a day later, they send a link with the coasters I can choose from. And they said, since we were a day late, pick you another pair.
Oh my gosh.
So that we got 2 free pairs.
Oh wow.
Well,
So
Alan
did you
Oliver-
tell them? They must have known you were Paradise or something.
They did. They
Hey.
even said that they were gonna put Paradise on a
I can
frame.
guess. I can guess what color. Wes, guess what color Costas he got? The lenses. The
Blue.
what color?
Blue.
That's what I was going to say. Blue.
Hey, Peter Malik said, God damn, Scott's background is so festive. We know who put up the Christmas decorations early.
Looks like Hobby Lobby up in here.
So are both pairs blue?
I didn't have a
I'll
clue.
show you the one pair I got. I went a little extreme on this one.
Oh Lord, here we go. Mr. Paradise.
Mary Dice.
What's up with the Santa Claus? What's up with the O mouth he's got going on there?
It's a birdhouse. Hey,
Oh, okay.
you know,
Hey,
I
what's
like-
going on, Heather?
Hey.
I hear you back there.
so I like crazy colors and stuff, but they don't even make them anymore. Like I like the wood grain. They quit making them. I had the matte sand. They quit making them. So, but these are like going to town sunglasses.
Well, now those aren't blue lenses. Those are blue frames.
The blue frames,
Mirror lenses.
mirror lenses.
Are those bougie? Those are kind of bougie, ain't they, Scott?
Yes, these are very bougie.
That's definitely a striper fisherman sunglasses right
This is where, like, if you're going to town, this is what you would wear going to town. This ain't just a regular, everyday sunglass.
Alan Oliver. We are going to Chesapeake Bay this year. Me, Scott, me and Shane Howington, and Richie Scruggs. Richie's not on Facebook, so you don't know him. And I think JR is going to come up and do some videos for us. Chris Brown was supposed to go, but Chris had to back out this year. So
What happened?
I don't know. He just said he couldn't come. So
Was there relationship issues? Or?
I don't know. I think he had to work.
Stop it.
But anyway, so Chris was out. So yeah, we're gonna have it's gonna be me, Richie, and Shane. We're gonna have a blast. Alan, I tell you, hell, you bring your skiff up there. I mean, hell, I fished up there in a damn John boat. I mean,
I want to bring my I'm gonna bring my like 30 millimeter bokeh lens. I'm gonna get some like creamy bokeh.
leave her alone.
Make it like a professional lifestyle video.
Scott don't want to come. Scott said it's like fishing in a big wash tub.
Yeah, right.
Toilet bowl.
Yeah, toilet bowl.
Yeah, right.
Hartwell's, see, that's what I don't understand. Hartwell's a piss hole. You'll fish Hartwell, but you don't want to come to the Chesapeake Bay and catch some of the biggest striper in the world.
Bring Heather. We got Wes is rented. He rented an Airbnb. And
Yeah, I rented a house. I
There's,
got the house rented.
I mean, I'll sleep on the floor. There's plenty. There should be plenty of room.
We're going to be we're actually less than 5 minutes from the boat ramp. We're 8 minutes from Stingray's restaurant. We're 2 minutes from Ocean's East Tackle.
I mean, I would have went, but y'all done pissed off all the pen keepers, so fuck that.
All the pen keepers.
Y'all
We don't need any pen keepers.
Y'all pissed off Clint and damn Chuck. Golly, you gonna be
No.
floating around out there like a
we,
damn
we
booty.
haven't pissed those guys off at all.
No, they're not bad. Hey, I know how to fish up there now. I really don't need a pen keeper no more. All you got to do is show me, baby. Look, hey, you see what they showed me here in South Carolina? You see what's happening, don't you?
They can't hide. They can't hide from
Fuck
us.
them, Wes. You don't need them if they can't take a joke.
Hey,
They
you see
can't
what
hide
happened
from
in
us.
South- all you got to do is show me, homeboy, and it's on. Because I pays attention.
Yeah.
Hey, Tell Heather she did a great job on the. I would have never had a clue that was going to be a snowman because I asked. I said, "What's it going to be?" And nobody replied. And then the next day, I see this big ass snowman. I was like, "Hell yeah, that's pretty cool."
That was pretty cool.
Didn't reply. I said it's a Wahoo rig.
It could be.
Nobody replied with a sensible answer. Let me rephrase.
Yeah. That was
Hey,
made
Scott,
with
another question
phone.
while you on here, since you don't never answer your fucking phone no more or a text. How come when I put something about Michigan on Facebook, you don't comment? Are you a little bit superstitious?
No.
Yes.
What do you want me to say?
Well, I put what's everybody's take on the Michigan Ohio State game, and I tagged you in it, and you never did comment.
No, you said since Scott Perry won't comment, what's everybody's take on the Michigan?
Oh yeah, okay. So, but you never did
But you
comment.
already said I wouldn't comment, so what am I going to comment for?
I figured you might be a little bit superstitious. You didn't want to bring no bad mojo on them when they.
No, I think if you really give a shit, I think
do hope Michigan wins. I do hope
if
Michigan wins.
I think our offensive line, defensive line's better. If our running back's healthy, which he went out of the last game hurt, so nobody knows, then I think it's going to be a good game. If we don't have a running back, our passing game, I don't know about that, so it may get ugly.
Well, I hope they beat Ohio State.
Everybody should hate Ohio State. There's nothing.
I can't believe we beat Tennessee, much less like we beat them. That was just like that was the most insane shit I've seen in college football in 10 years.
I liked it.
I think Clemson's a little bit worried now.
I don't know. They might have blew their whole load on that game.
All right, guys. Well, it's been an hour and 23 minutes, hour and 30 minutes, really. We started a little early. So you guys ready to call it?
Nope.
Who's that laughing?
Hey, JR's wanting to hurry up and get off here and get his wife's Christmas tree back in the living room.
Yeah, let me get this damn thing back in there before I get in trouble.
Well, I got another cool thing we made coming out. I'm gonna post. It's pretty cool. We did some Christmas shit this year. I was gonna go fishing, but I said fuck it.
So what
So
you
we
doing?
made shit.
Yeah.
Made a couple little videos. I'll post.
Oh, nice. Hallmark.
So I say, if we do the SBC, we should do a side pot. Everybody should buy a middle shelf.
You're assuming we're gonna fish separately. I thought we were all fishing together.
No,
Okay.
I've done what I can do with you two.
You want that ass whip? That's fine.
You two are about the worst two fucking fishing partners I've ever had on my boat in my life.
I'll be glad to come down and whip that ass. No, we're not. Wes kept hooking the fish. You guys were complaining, and Wes was freaking parting their eyes back.
No, I haven't even really thought about that tournament yet. It's still November. I'll start thinking about it next month, but.
Scott, you know you're going to fish it. Everybody knows you're going to fish it. I mean,
probably.
There you go.
I mean, I got somewhere. I'm like Wesley Rose with my money. I just throw that shit around. $500. I don't even notice that shit.
What does it cost to get in the SBC? What is it? 200? 250?
$5.
Huh?
Oh, maybe. I don't know.
It was $250 last year.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they didn't do the sportsman thing, and it was just everybody's on one level, pretty much.
I usually give them $500 just to be different.
Hell, they're gonna feed the homeless anyway.
They're gonna feed somebody. Do we know if that money goes to the homeless?
Hey,
No.
you heard what happened to me last year, didn't you?
Might be like the Goodwill. They might be making $1 million as the.
The way you could tell us to see what kind of cars they drive.
I was gonna do all this big stuff. I go to the damn grocery store and spend like $900 fucking on food and canned goods. Got the Dodge on the squat, look like a damn Ford. I pull up in there and they're weighing it, blah blah blah. These motherfuckers give me like 30 tickets. I'm like, what the fuck?
Guy walks up there and gives them $50 and gets twice as many tickets as Wes got.
Yeah, and then some guy come up in front of me and spent like $100 and got 10 times as many tickets. And I asked the lady, I said, hold on a minute, man. I said, damn, I just got 900, almost 1,000 pounds of food out there, and you give me 30 tickets? Oh, we're doing it different this year. You get more tickets if you spend cash than you do donating food. I said, well, why didn't somebody put that on the site? I just spent $1,000 for 30 tickets. And I said, fuck it, give me $200 worth of tickets in cash yet. So
yeah, that was funny watching you guys.
I fed every homeless person in Anderson for 3 months with all that fucking food I had over
You
there.
damn sure did. Somebody made some kick-ass chili beans.
Yeah.
Well, y'all figure out what you're gonna do in the next 2 weeks and let me know.
Man, I got Southeastern. We got the what's the big tournament? The big catfish tournament on Hartwell after Good Friday. Isn't it the Saturday after Good Friday?
No, it's Saturday. Yeah, Saturday coming up.
This weekend. Because JC Driver's having his tournament on the same day. That's why everybody was asking him why he did that on that big catfish tournament day.
Hell, it's catfish tournament. I'm watching football. Yeah, I can go out there and play in the cold.
So,
well, Scott, I'll tell you, if y'all want to fish it again, I'll fish it with y'all.
So it's this weekend.
It don't matter to me.
The big tournament that
Saturday.
What's it called?
Yeah.
Which one?
Kevin Wallace and them's putting on.
The big catfish tournament.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't know the name of it. I don't know. Slime Tracer.
Shit, shut up.
It's this Saturday.
Yeah. Man, I kind of want to go get in that.
Well, get in it. Don't be scared.
Yeah, you guys don't want to get in with it?
I'm watching. If it wasn't for football, I would fish the catfish tournament with you, Jerry. I promise. But I ain't fishing with the biggest college football day.
Oh
ever.
My God! So, what tournament were you talking about, Wes? Why did he hold it on the same day as
Greenwood Striper tournament for veterans? On Greenwood.
So it's the same day as that.
It's going to be the same day, and everybody will. And I don't know what happened. I don't even know which one was actually planned first. But so I knew somebody had said, they should have did them on different because there was a lot of people that's fishing the catfish tournament probably would have fished that tournament. But I don't know.
I'm not gonna host no damn tournament. But if I was gonna have a big fish tournament, it would be the end of March, the beginning of April.
Yep.
I mean, that's prime time. Big shad, back of creeks, pre-spawn. I mean, nobody has.
The SBC still, they have tournaments during that.
They got a little trail going now, I think.
They got a trail, yeah. But the winter classics in January. You can't have the winter classic in April. Wouldn't be called the winter classic.
Well, hey Scott, why did they do that tournament in fucking January? Have they ever said maybe why can't they do it like in November?
Guys, the winter doesn't start till December the 22nd. So if it's going to be a winter classic, it's got to be in winter time.
I think they're trying. I think you got all these. Tournament trails, and none of the tournament trails really have anything going on in January. So get everybody to.
That probably contributes.
That's my only guess. I don't know.
There's a reason nobody has them in January because it's fucking frigid cold.
Maybe that's why, because of the adverse conditions. It's very tough fishing, and the conditions are horrible.
Give anybody, and I mean anybody, a shot at winning that time of year.
Hell, Pontoni won it in a pontoon.
Uh-huh. With the dead battery, drifting with the wind, and dead bait. Yeah, I mean, I don't mind it if we're all on the same day. Whatever.
Yeah.
Definitely not prime time.
Peter Malik said January weeds out the pussies.
Not when you got a full enclosure and a heater.
That's right. Hey, that morning, you remember that morning we got to the boat ramp, Scott? I felt so sorry for Patrick and them. Dude, it was brutal cold out there. And I got up in there, you turned that heater on, and I was looking out the window at them. I was like, man, fuck that. I would have not fished that tournament if it hadn't been in your boat last year.
I mean, I spent 12 years fishing in the center console, so it ain't that bad, but
shit.
It is nicer with the heater.
Shit. Can you imagine them going across that water, say at 20 miles an hour? And it's
at some point, like, why don't you just stay home? I mean,
yeah,
it's like being sitting in the living room at your house.
I mean, 15 years in the center console. I got video of me.
God, dude, you're only 46 years old.
I got videos.
Back in my day, I used to walk 7 miles uphill in the snow.
Well, I'm not saying I'm old. I'm just saying that I got the boat I fucking wanted. What the hell?
Well, I think that you did it a little early. I think that it.
Why?
Well, I think that
Should I wait till my big ass can't crawl over the front of the boat to get one?
I'm just saying. I think you pulled the pussy card just a little early.
Hell. Hey, I pulled the
I think
pussy
you need
card
to get
too.
out there and buff that gel coat out and
Yeah.
quit worrying about my
Well, I'll
shit.
tell you what. I'll see you in January, and
Busted ass white shit
I
over
will.
there.
I'll bet you a fifth of McKenna that
Where
I
are you betting?
finished ahead of you in the SBC.
What if we're in the same boat?
Get you some of that.
What if
Oh,
we're in
so,
the same boat?
you're saying that you're going to fish against me?
Not well. You're the one that's saying that we're not fishing the same boat.
No, I said you need to let me know in the next couple of weeks. So if you're fishing with Alan or Dieter or Peter Malik, then I'm on. I'll put.
So you're
I'll put-
you're not going to fish it unless you're in the blue bean.
I will put 6 bottles of McKenna against your 1 bottle of McKenna if we fish on different boats. How about that?
Okay, deal. All right, this video is not going anywhere, so I can pull it right back up.
I'm not going to bag out.
Okay, don't be backing out on me.
Mm-mm.
I could use 6 bottles of McKenna, no lie.
No, I didn't say there might be many bottles. I didn't say that they were going to be full size.
I mean, that's going to be an upgrade from my pint of Evan Williams that I buy every week.
Well, I tell you, it's right there again, Scott. If you want to fish it, I'll fish it with you. If you decide to, just let me know.
I ain't even thought about it.
I'll tell you, the only time I've ever heard you get ill with Michael Walker was last year.
I get ill when I'm tournament fishing.
Yeah, he's a drill sergeant on the boat
When he
in the
was wanting
tournament.
when he was wanting to go back to that creek, you said, "What the fuck for?" You said, "Look at all the boats back here. I'm not going back there to fight boats to pull bait over the same water they're fucking pulling bait over."
I mean, I fish by myself for a reason because I like to do my fucking thing. That's,
Yeah, exactly.
We get it. We get it. All right, guys, it's been a good show. I guess we'll see you next
We're
week.
not done yet. Fuck you. What are you doing, man? Are you that scared of your wife?
No, I'm not. Go ahead, Wes. What you got?
I don't know. I just didn't want to get off.
Well, we got 16 people. I mean, things are picking up. We've been having, less than that a lot. So
probably because I'm on here.
things are picking up.
Hey, Mercer. Please still
Gone.
Mercer's gone. Mercer said good night. He said,
Oh,
"Later,
he said
guys,
good
I'm gone."
Hey, Scott, now talking about Beto, and there again, everything's opinion. A fish is like a college football game. Anything can happen on any given day. But I
No,
think
Alan, you're not. I'll fish with you, Alan. I want those
you
6
catch a
bottles of
big
McKenna.
striper, if you catch a big striper in 45 and 48 degree water in the wintertime on a big bait, it's out of reaction. Or he's just mad. He ain't trying to eat that big son of a bitch because he's lazy. He's lethargic.
No, I disagree.
I think it depends on the weather pattern. I think if you have a warming trend coming up to the weekend, like
No, they're opportunistic feeders, fellas. These fish are big. They have to eat.
No,
These fish
no,
have to eat.
no.
And if they
no.
see a giant bait, they're gonna eat it.
JR, have you ever been a little bit hungry, but not real hungry? But you want to eat something, you just don't want a lot to eat?
These fish are lazy. They
They
don't
are.
like to eat a bunch in a day.
Exactly.
They like if they could get away with eating once a day, that's what they're gonna do.
Just like Curry said, when all them red fins start dying off, they're probably that fish, and this is no lie. That fish that Shane we caught on that damn skipjack rod. We chased that fish for about 30 fucking minutes, but we got her in the boat. And when I dumped her out of the net, she started puking up thread fin about 1 inch long, 1.5 inch long, slap full of them. All that fish fed on.
there's a lot of big fish caught in January, February on big bait. Fact.
Peter
I've
says,
never
unlike
caught
Scott, I
big
like to
fish on
most
big
of my striper tournaments like to fish them solo, less arguing and second guessing yourself. That is true, and I agree. I like fishing tournaments solo too, and I've been in I fish tournaments by myself, and I tend to do better when I'm by myself. But you kind of have to just set your ego to the side, set your pride to the side, fish with someone else, and just take the zeros. Take the shitty tournament weigh-ins until you develop chemistry. Eventually, it's inevitable. You're going to develop chemistry eventually. And the aesthetics of fishing by yourself just is not
Hold on,
Very,
what's that
very-
word you just used?
It doesn't look good. Aesthetics. It doesn't look good when
What
you
does
show
that
up to the
mean?
turn. If you win a tournament, if you go fish the SBC and you're by yourself, then there's going to be people talking.
What does aesthetics mean? I'm from a trailer park, brother. I've
How
never
things
heard that.
look on the outside.
Oh, how do you spell it?
ASTETICS. Aesthetics.
Well, this is my thing about fishing with two people. On most tournaments, when you wax them or catch big fish of the tournament, or when it's a really great day, you're not catching a lot of fish, and you might not catch that fish till 2 hours before weigh-in. I mean, and you're not going to go out there and catch 20, 30 pounders. You're going to catch one. And when you're on a boat with somebody that's you don't know or you're not real comfortable with, they start questioning you after 5 or 6 hours of nothing, no action, going, let's go do this. Let's go do that. Let's go do it.
Exactly.
The
The grass is greener. They say, I saw this guy and I talked to this guy. I don't give a shit. I know more than them. I don't care what they're doing. I don't care. We're going to do what I do. If we get skunked, we get skunked.
Well, that ain't how it works when you're catching trophy fish. You just don't go out there and just throw trophies over the side of the boat.
Exactly.
You get 1 or 2 shots a day on a good day. And when it's 4 hours in and they're questioning you, that just pisses me off.
Yeah.
It does. It does. But you have to just set your pride to the side. Like I said,
I don't have to.
You don't have to, but I mean, it's you have to try to be modest. You have to just try to
it ain't my pride. It's
roll with the punches and just take your shitty ass weigh-ins, do what they want to do. And eventually you guys are going to mesh because you're going to catch a big fish eventually. And when you catch that big fish, you're both going to be there to know exactly what it took to catch it. And then guess what? A little bit of chemistry's made then.
I don't know. I think you gotta have alpha people on boats, and they're gonna butt heads forever.
Yes.
Well, the deal with me is, now if I'm doing something, or if I'm fishing a body of water, or doing something I'm not really sure, somebody's on the boat, I think they know more. I don't mind doing it, but 99% of the time when I'm on my boat, I'm gonna fish the way I want to, and I don't give a fuck who's on the boat, and everybody knows that.
Yes, and I'm the same way. When I fish with someone else's boat, I will give my input. But I'm not going to reiterate my input. I'm not going to keep
sort of going, what the fuck are we doing? Pulling bait.
It's kind of like the what is the old movie Perfect Storm, George Clooney and Mark Wahlberg, when he says, I'll find the fish. I found the fish before I'll find them. Don't
always put you on the fish.
Yeah, it's that in a nutshell. Yeah, it's just fishing. That's what makes us. That's what keeps us coming back. None of us swim with them, and it's a lot of luck involved. It's very superstitious, and we do what we feel, and it's hard to explain. We can't explain that to someone else. Everyone else, they want to know what anecdotal evidence you have as to why we're doing what we're doing and where we're doing it. But sometimes you just can't explain it to them.
I'll tell you a little story. About 3 years ago, I went up to Tennessee, and Hovis and Reel and Skipper, they all went up into Caney. And Skipper, I remember Skipper called me and he said, dude, why ain't you up here where the big fish are? I said, because I'm fishing where I want to fish, And I said, listen, y'all just send me pictures of y'all's big fish when y'all catch one. So I had a feeling about a spot, and, I sat there and I put boards out because I was cut baiting, but in current. So when I cut bait where I got current, I can't always put a board out. So I sat on this spot for 6 hours, and I kept thinking, damn, more to move. And I was like, nah. I said, it's baited up, bait's out there, everything looks good. I'm just gonna sit right here. You got to feel it. So the 8th hour, I was gonna leave in about 30 minutes because Lori was up there with me, but she was at the lodge. Boom, a rod goes off on a planer board, 43-pound striper. I sent Skipper that picture as soon as I caught the fish and took the picture. I said, where's y'all's at? And he went and goes. He never did answer me back. So I called him the next day. I said, how many did y'all catch? He said, man, we zeroed out. I was like, really? You zeroed out. You told me to come up there and catch a big fish, and I stayed in East Tennessee. So there again, it's just
any given day. Given day. There's big. There are big fish. They're not concentrated in one area. There's big fish all over whatever body of water. If you're in Tennessee, it doesn't matter if you're on Lake. If you're on Lake Hartwell, you can be fishing the deep water in the big pool, or you can be up in the river portion fishing shallow water. It doesn't matter. There's gonna be a big fish in both of those locations. It's just a matter of learning the topography of that particular area that you're fishing, like the back of your hand, and covering water, pulling the correct baits.
I don't know what the percentage is, Scott, and you may or may not agree with this, but luck plays as big a percentage in fishing as
it plays a huge percentage. I'll answer that. It plays a huge percentage because you're not going by everything that you've learned. And like if you're fishing a striper tournament and you're fishing it to win it, you're not fishing the tournament to catch fish. If you're fishing it to catch fish, then you're using all the knowledge that you've compiled over the years of the seasonal patterns, the notebooks that you've kept of the lunar phases and the wind direction and the water temperature and what depth of water you all of that goes out the window when you're trying to catch a big fish. All of that goes out the window.
Let me interrupt a little bit. I kind of agree, but I don't think it's as high a percentage as you think because, all right, Striper Kings is the biggest striper club in the Southeast. They have like 100 members. They average like 40 boats, right? The top 5 to 10 are going to be the same people almost every week. Now, 1st through 10 is going to change, but you got 10% of guys that are going to finish in the top 10 week in and week out. And, from 10th to 1st is probably luck, but you can't just go out there and just wing it and expect to win.
Right. Yeah.
No.
Well, you're talking about a point system, and you're talking about consistency.
Well, JR, you said that about a point system. I caught 60 pounds, 3 fish in a Striper Kings tournament on Lake Hartwell, the piss hole. I won Big Fish of the Year 2 years in a row. So my down riding with little bait.
You are more of an outlier. But what you're describing a minute ago was people that are showing up and fish and consistently catching fish, showing up to the weigh-in consistently.
So I was thinking
that's why those guys are staying in the top 10.
Well, luck is not 80%. I say luck is 20%.
I agree with that.
I don't know.
No, I mean, you can go back and look at results. There was this old man, and he was great, man. I wanted him to win every tournament. He would always finish 20th. I mean, he fished every tournament for years, and whatever maybe it was luck, maybe he had bad luck.
Look at the science of, like I've mentioned, fishing dock lights earlier. Think about, have you guys ever fished dock lights at night? I'm sure you have.
Never.
Well, when you fish dock lights at night, there's gonna be a slew of fish under the light. There's gonna be, because the light's attracting the plankton, and then the food chain goes on after that. Well, so you got perch and crappie, all your panfish, even catfish, bass, spots, gar. You got like basically every species of carnivorous fish that are in the lake are going to be around that light. If you want the bigger fish, if you want to catch the bigger fish will not be around that light. Why? Because those smaller fish are in there constantly eating them. They got high metabolisms. They're growing. They're constantly eating. They're constantly on the move. Your larger fish are bigger. They're more lethargic. They eat bigger meals. They don't eat. They don't eat as much. So they're on the outskirts.
Exactly.
If you want to target a bigger fish at dock lights, you go to the outskirts. The dark water is what we call it.
That's why tournament fishers don't fish community holes.
That's why on a lake
community hole is,
where all the bait is, where all the birds are, etc., where all the fish are, you don't want to fish there because all the big fish aren't going to be in there.
Exactly.
They're going to be away from there. They may be close, but they're not going to be around that area, within that area.
100%.
All those other fish.
That's why if you go to Clarks Hill and fish a summertime tournament with a real tournament trail at Clarks Hill, nobody's going to be downlining.
Because downlining's for party fish. You're fishing for suspended school fish.
And the party fish are faster, they're quicker, They eat more. Even if there's a big fish 10 feet away, that 3
Can't get
pounder
to
is
it.
going to grab the bait. Yeah.
You're damn right it is.
I mean, I agree 100% with what you're saying. And I don't tournament fish like that.
Well, when I tournament fished with you,
That was a different situation.
we were down lining.
That was a
and
5-day
were-
pre-fish.
we were fishing extremely you were fishing extremely efficiently. You were using your graph, you were graphing fish, you were telling us at what depth to put our lines down. It was very professional, very efficient. I just
you-
don't see but
that was-
on Lake Hartwell, I think that'll work because it's not a trophy fishery.
Hartwell's got plenty of high team fish in it.
Yes, and there could be some high team fish mixed in with those fish. So, and I
But,
think that you were taking that into account. You were hoping to catch a high team fish amongst those smaller fish.
So Wes can attest that we caught 2 9-pounders back to back on down rides the day before.
Yeah.
And if you could catch 27 pounds in an SBC in January, you're looking good.
Yes,
I mean, it
agree
was
with that.
just we pulled bait. We didn't down rod all week. We pulled bait. We cut bait.
I would just
pulled
rather
mongos.
pull mongos, and that's it. Just mongos and fish where no one else is fishing. And if I zero, I zero.
Well, you and Alan gonna be doing that, handing me some liquor.
Hey, I'll be glad to.
JR.
Hey, it's word. There was a tournament a couple years. I don't know. I lose track of years. There was a SBC that was one in the back of the creek on Big Shad in January. But the weather you got to. I mean, we had a super cold front come in, high pressure, bait dropped. I mean, you're pretty much pissing your money away.
If you think
on
about
that.
it this way, fishing for smaller fish, there's a lot more room. You don't have to worry because let's say there's 100 people in the tournament. Let's say 80% of them are fishing, for schoolie fish. They're out trying to catch suspended fish on down rods. And let's say that the other 20 are wanting to target bigger fish. Let's say, for example, in the back of a creek pulling mongos. Well, there's a lot less water, and like 20 boats is a lot of friggin' boats. I would rather you would have a lot more room fishing amongst 80 boats in deep water than you would trying to pull big baits in skinny water.
The spot we fished, we pre-fished, and one thing on Hartwell when there's 80 boats is I've looked for no boat traffic, and we hit that spot twice, only for like 15 minutes each time, and there was no boats there. Didn't want to be seen there because that's part of tournament fishing. You don't want to be seen somewhere if you can't help it. And we got 2 good fish on gizzard shad 3 days before that. And when I say good fish, I'm like 12 to 14 pounders. So the whole purpose was to get some fish in the boat and then to upgrade to teenage fish.
I challenged someone, if I took it seriously, I wouldn't care if someone saw me because their bait's not going to be as big and it's not going to be as healthy as mine.
No,
You
but
don't-
you just won't be able to fish there.
JR, have you ever tournament fished a series?
No. I'm
Well,
doing
that's-
one. I'm fishing one now, but no,
And you
until
will
now, I've
learn.
never have.
You better watch where you're seeing. I guarantee Peter will tell you that.
But I don't care. See, listen, I took fishing seriously a couple years ago, and I
When you
actually
put
went out. I
money in, you gotta
targeted
take
big fish. I targeted big fish a few years ago, about 5 or 6 years ago. I targeted big fish. Well, I caught big fish. In 1 year, I caught 12 blues, just blues, not counting all the big flatheads, not counting all the blues that were close to 50. I caught 12 blues over 50, caught 2 over 60.
But that was on
And
your time.
that's
That
when
is
I-
not this
that's-
day, this weather condition, this front. You ain't playing. Oh, well, it looks like it's gonna be nice Friday. I'm gonna go.
But
fish.
my point is though, I was posting videos, and if I caught a fish in a certain area, I'd go back the next day. There'd be a dozen boats there fishing that area. They weren't doing what I was doing.
They're
they
affecting
can't-
your
they can't-
fishing. Man.
They can't do what I
But
do.
JR, let
I'm-
me ask you this
If
though.
you're striper fishing, they're affecting your fishing. If there's 12 boats pulling the area you're pulling, even if they aren't doing the same thing you're doing or with the same bait, they're affecting your fishing. Now, a catfish sitting on the bottom, maybe not, but a striper, you cannot fish around 12 boats and expect to win a tournament.
JR, not just that. If you mark and fish in a specific area, they're holding us on a specific structure for any period of time, and you find those fish, people see you there. What you gonna do when you try to go back there to fish, but you can't get on your spot or anywhere near it because there's 2 or 3 boats there?
I don't have to. It's more about how I fish and what I fish with than where the fish are, because the fish that I'm fishing for, nobody knows where they are anywhere. Like I said, you can't pattern them. There's no way to pattern them. There's no point in having a graph other than to use it for contours and topography. That's it. If you want to be like a true, pure trophy fisherman and catch nothing but trophy fish consistently, that's the way you have to do it. You can't go marking fish. Not in the catfish world. You can't.
Pure trophy fisherman is not a tournament fisherman. That's 2 different things.
Well, it is a tournament fisherman. It's not a tournament trail fisherman.
Boat traffic affects fishing. If you don't believe that, then you need to go.
It does 100%. It 100% does. I definitely.
And if you draw boat traffic to your area, it shuts up big fish. Especially the bigger the fish, the quicker they shut down. Why do you think they don't catch 40, 50 pounders behind Russell Dam? It ain't because they're not there.
Because there's 100 fucking boats up there.
Exactly. They're not gonna.
And guess what? 99 of them are pulling bait they bought at Lake Hartwell Outdoor Center.
I mean, they're fucking farm red.
The one guy that's pulling the 18-inch gizzard shad that he caught on that body of water that morning is gonna outperform all the other boats.
There's a reason I don't go up there pulling bait in the middle of summer anymore. I mean, the boat traffic kills fishery. I mean, if you want to go up there,
says how many tournaments has he won? Let's see. I've won 2 tournaments, and I've finished in the top 3 and 1 other tournament. So
you want to give me my trophy?
I haven't fished many tournaments, but my efficiency, for the handful of tournaments that I've fished, I've done very, very well. And being a tournament fisherman doesn't really mean anything. It doesn't mean that you're a better
fishermen are the best fishermen.
Yes, they are, but there are also outliers. There are outliers like myself.
The reason I say that is you fish on the day you're told to fish, the conditions you're told to fish, and usually against the best guys in the sport.
Well, you're fishing against
they're the best guys in the sport.
A lot of your tournament fishermen are really no different than carp fishermen. They get in the tournament to gamble. They're trying to win money. That's a lot of your tournament fishing. That's what they want to do. They want to, if it's a $10,000 payout, that's why they're there. They want the money.
But I'm going to tell you the truth. Like me catching a 25-pound fish in the SBC would feel so much better than catching a 50-pound fish in Tennessee by myself. 100%.
I agree. And that just goes back to the whole tournament fishing has a lot more to do with ego than anything.
I mean, maybe it's ego. I was on Clark and caught like a 29-pound fish in a tournament a couple years ago. So let me ask you this: which is the best fish I ever caught? It was the most excited I was. It was the most adrenaline and the most.
I will say this: I have fished a lot in my life, and I've been out more so in nasty conditions than I have good conditions. I prefer to fish in nasty conditions over fishing in good conditions. I would rather go out there when it's 34 degrees and pouring down rain, and I've done it many, many times, and I've enjoyed it. I did it because I loved it. I didn't do it because there was a tournament. I didn't do it because there was I was going to win a trophy, or I was going to win money, or I was going to get prestige. I did it because I loved it. That's what separates
someone. And then
someone.
The picture went up on Facebook. Oh, look at what I did.
What I'm referring to is before Facebook.
Why don't you catch these big fish and then just not even take a picture or video of them and throw them back?
I did for many years before Facebook. But yeah, now that there's Facebook, matter of fact, I actually fish less now that I post things to Facebook. I spend more time on Facebook than I ever do fishing now.
We all want glory from our fish. Why the hell are we going to catch a fish and just look at it and throw it back?
Hey, I love to post a picture of a fish on Facebook.
I mean, what did we do before Facebook? Facebook didn't
Anybody
come
that's-
around until like 2009. You know, what did you
The
guys do
video
before then?
YouTube was around.
Well, YouTube wasn't around until 2006, and it was like nobody even knew about it. Like I
Well,
didn't
hell,
even
you go to the
know
paint
about
shop and
YouTube
there'd be
until like
Polaroids
2010.
pasted on the wall, right?
Yeah, there's that's more like, matter of fact, Bass Shack in Shelby had pictures of me
I
holding
mean, just all over.
40-pound striper, Polaroids of me holding 40-pound striper on their bragging board at the Bass Shack in Shelby, a little bait shop.
There's nothing wrong. There's not a thing wrong with
No, there's
showing.
nothing wrong with it. No, I mean that's, you know, we're social creatures. That's what we like to do. We like to show off our catch. I mean that's a big part of it.
I don't think it's saying I'm better than you. I think it's saying, look what I got. Look what I did.
Right.
Look,
There's
hey,
just more prestige to be had nowadays
At the end of
with
the day-
Facebook and social media.
Oh, yeah.
If it wasn't
People
for
want to be
Facebook-
famous.
Yes.
It's human nature. You want to be thought of as the best.
Yes.
If it wasn't for Facebook and all the big fish I've caught and me holding my chest out and holding up all these pictures, half of y'all motherfuckers wouldn't even like me. Half of these people that's my friends on Facebook are not my friends. They're just worried about what I'm doing fishing. They just like to see pictures of fish. They don't like they do as much. They like this. They like West.
I found that out on Facebook when I
They
would.
just like to see the fish.
If you don't, yeah, you're exactly right. And if you don't believe that, if someone out there doesn't believe that, then post something that's post an unpopular opinion on Facebook and see how many
let me tell you
people unfriend you.
I said
Get
this
my
last
phone
week
in.
about social media.
If it wasn't for Facebook, half these people wouldn't hate me.
I made a comment last year and a couple of months ago. I could put a picture of my grandkids on Facebook. They're the two babies and my older granddaughter. We got another grandson now. Back when they were born, I could put pictures up of me holding one of them. The most beautiful thing in the world was my grandchildren. And it might get 20 or 30 likes. But I could put a picture of a fucking 40-pound striped bass up there and it'd get 150 likes. Explain that to me.
Well, you got a lot of people that are on Facebook just for fishing. You know,
Yeah.
that's me. That's really 99% of the reason I'm even on Facebook is
It's fishing.
for fishing. I don't do family. I don't post family pics.
I
don't
think
post
family
vacations.
pictures are kind of for family.
Josh O'Shields, JR hasn't won any tournaments. Here you go, Josh. What's that say right there? What's that? Read that for him, Scott. What does that say right there?
Says 1981 high school cheerleading
You
champ.
read that part where it says tournament champion.
Does that say bass?
Yeah, I won a bass tournament.
Throw that shit away.
I've won a bass tournament. I've won a crappie tournament. I won a crappie tournament on Lake Norman. I came in third on a crappie tournament on Tuckertown on the Yak.
You know what's happening right now, JR?
What?
Somebody's stepping on your ego, and you don't like it.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. Don't tell
Yeah,
me.
It's all about ego,
Don't
man.
you tell me.
Well, you know, there again, you was talking about striper kings. I remember the first time I went to that meeting, you know, when I wanted to get into striper fishing because my grandfather did it, but I didn't really know nothing about it. So all I'd heard about striper kings. So I go to this meeting and all I'm hearing, not talking about striper kings. So this is not a derogatory toward the group in a whole, but the few people that were talking were doing nothing but arguing. Now I will say this name, Othero McLaughlin. He was a police. I don't like that motherfucker. He was a police, and he come out here and tried to arrest me one time. Needless to say, he couldn't catch me. But anyway, at the end of the meeting, you know, and I didn't know nothing. You know, Lori went with me to that meeting. Even she said that right there. She said that was some bullshit, wasn't it? I said, yeah. Well, I asked him. I said, well, bud, listen. I said, I'm just trying to get into striper fishing. You know, I said, could you give me some pointers or a good place to start? You know, and that arrogant son of a bitch said the water. So ever since then, I don't like him, and I don't know a lot about him or how he fishes. But I'm gonna say this, and I don't really brag on myself a lot, but any of them old dusty motherfuckers in that group that treated me like that, bring your old dusty asses to Tennessee, and let's fish for a week, and I'll put my house up against anything y'all got that I'll catch a bigger fish than y'all.
Well, let me explain
Fuck that.
striper club for a little bit. Like you fish, I mean, you aren't going to give people information when you're out there trying to win a tournament. Like I learned a shitload about striper fishing from striper tournaments, but it wasn't like them coming up to me telling me. It was more like I'm riding back to the boat ramp skunked and I see 7 striper boats doing circles with planer boards in this creek in March. So I'm like, well, the fish must be shallow and I'm fishing deep, you know, or I see the guy that won the tournament was in Crystal Lake pulling the bank and I was way up the river.
Yeah.
So, okay, it's April. I shouldn't be up the river. I should be mid-lake pulling the banks. I mean, but nobody's going to come up to you at a striper
But my
club
thing
and be
was,
like,
no, I was just wanting to know, like, you know, what kind of bait do you use? You know, when do you fish for this? And, you know, just kind of get a starting point. You know what I'm saying? And they were just a bunch of fucking smart asses to me. So fuck them old dusty bastards.
I
want to when you know when I actually fished Hartwell a little bit, you know, and I still didn't know that much. I asked somebody one day something about Russell, and they started laughing. They said, "Dude," they said, "Nobody gonna tell you shit about Russell." Mm-hmm. So I watched a movie and a documentary, and you know the documentary, Scott, called Landlocked Striped Bass. Mm-hmm. So the guy that did that's name was Rich. Was it Rich King?
Yeah.
So I looked.
I know he's talking about.
Yeah. So I looked Rich up, and I called him. I called him on Facebook Messenger, and I said, "Look, buddy," I said, I've been to Lake Russell 4 times already. I said, I told him what I was doing. I said, I'm getting out in the middle of the lake. I said, I don't know. I said, I'm putting trout out there. I said, I've actually pulled trout till they drowned. I pulled them on planer boards. I've downlined them. I said, I can't, and all I hear about how big a fish is in Russell. And he said, listen, he said, this time of year, he said, go to the back of a creek. He said, you just pick a creek, any creek. Because I told him I was fishing on the Beaver Dam in. So, and he said, put your trout out and pull them. He said, you'll catch a big fish. So he called me back that next day and he said, Wes, he said, he said, if I'm supposed to have tickets to the Clemson Carolina game. He said, if I get those tickets, I'm going. But if I can't get them, he said, I'll come down there and get on the boat. We can try to show you some stuff. So I thought that was awesome. You know, I got this guy that did this documentary. It's going to take me and show me how to catch a landlocked striped bass. Mm-hmm. Well, he didn't get to go. Of course, he got the tickets. So my 5th trip to Russell, I put in at Beaver Dam Creek right there at the marina. And I said, well, he said to fish a creek. So I'm pulling out and I'm looking at my map. And there's a creek right across the street or right across the lake right there. So I said, well, I'm going to do what he said. I got there at 6. It was 6:30 that morning. It was still dark. So I got back there in about 3 foot deeper water. I turned the boat around and I'm just sitting there and I'll never forget, I heard this train blowing the whistle. And you know, every time since then I fished that creek, I'd hear that train about 7 o'clock every morning, like clockwork. So when it wasn't really daylight yet, but I could see. So I put my trolling motor out, put 2 free line trout out off the back, 2 planer boards. No, I'm sorry. I put 2 free line off the back, 2 planer boards off each side. So I start pulling out of this creek. So Scott knows the creek I'm talking about.
Was there a bridge? Was there a bridge in that creek?
No.
Okay.
So when I'm pulling out of the creek, I'm starting to make a hard left turn. And and I've told this story before, but I'm not making none of this up. I look up at the sky. I said, listen, old boy. I said, I have paid my dues down here. I said, this is the 5th damn time I've been down here. I said, I've killed about $500 worth of trout. I said, I just want to fish. That ain't asking a whole lot. Well, you know, I've always said, be careful what you ask for. Because as soon as I made that left turn and got the boat about straight, boom, a free line went off. And I'll never forget that feeling. I was watching that thing scream drag, and I just knew, boy, I had.
See, you do love Russell. I mean, was that Russell or Hartwell?
Russell, no, Russell.
Oh, that was Russell. Okay, yeah. So you do love Russell. Okay.
Yeah. So Scott knows what I'm talking about. But anyway, I got that fish in the boat, and about the time that fish hit the deck of the boat, another rod went off. I hooked that fish and lost him. So I got the hook out of that first fish, and I said, I'm gonna mount this fish. It's like 25, 26 pounds, because I thought at that time that was just a monster striper, you know.
Absolutely, that is. And
I'm just excited. I'll never forget that feeling. So anyway, I reached up the cooler to put that fish in the cooler, and a planer board went off. When that planer board went off, instead of skipping across the water, it went straight down like a float. You ever had one do that, Scott? Not run across the water. He went straight down to a tree.
Put the planer board down like it was a float.
Yeah, just like it was a float.
Like it was like he was brim fishing.
Exactly. So
We do that at Russell a lot.
So I got my lines back out. I got on up. I fished another maybe 30 or 40 yards. Dude, I caught like a 13-pound hybrid, just this huge hybrid. And you know, and I looked up at God and I said, man, I said, I'm good. I appreciate it. I don't need no more. So that was my first experience of actually catching a quote big striper. And I'll remember that, just like Scott said, you know, you got certain fish you remember. And I caught that fish on a Bass Pro Shops mega cast. You know, the gold reels, they were like $40.
Those are actually Ming Yangs.
And
those are rebadged Ming Yangs.
And I remember I got on the phone. I could not wait to get back to the boat ramp. And I called Lori. I said, baby, I finally did it. She was more excited than me.
That's awesome.
And then I stopped up there at Jody's bait shop. I went over to Jody's and let them take my picture. You know, that Jody's wife took my picture and put it in them. She put it in something. I forgot what it was. But that was just awesome. And ever since that moment, I've really been hooked on striper fishing. That's what got me, was that moment fishing right there. So, Scott, do you remember your first big striper, what it made you feel like when you caught it?
My first big striper was 10 pounds. Yeah, I remember. I took 20 pictures of it with my flip phone.
Hell yeah. That's what's up.
Yeah, my first big one, it was, I think, 5 pounds. My first stripe, well, it was actually my first striper. I was crappie fishing. I had a Bill Dance edition spinning rod combo bought from Bass Pro. It's nice. It was, I think it was a Quantum, and I was crappie fishing a dock light on Lake Norman, and there was a boat slip over on the other side of the creek, and it had solar lights. You know, the solar lights, they don't really attract as many fish as the like the sodium lights do, but they will be some fish at them. Well, anyways, I kept hearing fish bust over there. It was springtime. Had no idea about stripers, what they were, never caught one. And so I took my boat over there and I got off on that boat slip and I walked over where those solar lights were on, and I had a crappie minnow, and I tossed a crappie minnow down there, and I hooked onto something that was screaming drag like nothing I'd ever felt before. And I landed that fish. The only scale I had back then was them old D-Lyers, the old spring scales. You know, they're accurate. So if it weighed 5 pounds, it was really 5 pounds. And I weighed that fish. And I remember looking at the because it has pounds and kilograms. And I remember it like weighed a little less than 3 pounds. I was like, there's no way. This thing weighs way more than that. But I was looking at the kilograms, not the pounds. And I measured the fish. It was like 25.5 inches long. And I took a picture of it, and I put the picture on my refrigerator. And that was, it was all over. Some striper fisherman. My
best memories of striper fishing is probably a 20-pounder I caught in the first, I think it was 2006, like the first good fish I caught in a tournament. I caught it on a baby trout on Hartwell Lake. I mean, we were stoked, drinking beers. We were jacked.
The Savannah chain loved the trout. I remember seeing a guy on a tarpon kayak, and he was pulling trout on, I think it was either Hartwell or Russell. It's on YouTube. I'll have to try to find the video, but he catches a 40-pound striper on a kayak fishing with a live trout. He had it pulled right up on the bank. It was like a riprap bank or something.
Trout's never really been a good bait on Hartwell for me.
Really?
But
I've never had any luck with it either. I don't even like it.
Lake Murray, you can't use trout on Murray anymore. But
really?
back when I started, you could, and man, you would catch a lot of good fish on Murray on trout. Not the huge ones, but like the little medium trouts. But Hartwell, I've only caught 1 or 2 fish on trout. That's a gizzard shad lake when it had big fish.
Yeah. I never caught a striper over probably 10 or 12 pounds until I went to Tennessee, and I started fishing Loudon, and that's where I caught my biggest striper. Was a 20-pounder. It was actually 19 pounds, 15 ounces. It was just shy of 20 pounds. And that was my PB until I went to Tennessee with Wes, I think, or who? I think it was
Drew.
Wes.
Drew.
Did I go with Drew before Wes? I can't remember.
Yeah, y'all fished for like 2 days straight, and he was punishing y'all.
That's right. Yeah. Yep. Actually, that was me. That was my doing. Drew, I told Drew because I told him I was pulling my boat to Tennessee. I said I'm not leaving until I had like a week off work. I was like, I'm not leaving until I catch a striper over 30. That's my goal. I'm not coming off the water until that happens. And he was like, just come get on the boat with me. And I was like, no, Drew, you don't understand. I'm not leaving the boat. I'm going to rough it. I'm not leaving the water till I catch it. And he was like, that's fine. We'll do it. So went up there, met him, and he was getting ready to give up. I think we stayed on the water. I got down there on a Thursday and we caught that fish Saturday morning at around 3:30. And we never come off the water. And I think that he and Alan both they were at their wits' end. They were as soon as we got that fish in the boat, they was like, okay, let's go. And we're done.
Get the hell out of here.
I might be weird, but like it feels special catching big fish in South Carolina.
It does.
It does, yeah. Because Tennessee, there's big fish everywhere. It's a big fish. It's the home. It's the mecca of freshwater landlocked striped bass. It's the mecca of those trophy fish in the Southeast. So it's not. It doesn't mean as much to catch a big one there as it does to catch one where they're a lot more rare.
The only reason Tennessee, well, there's two reasons. The first reason Tennessee has such good fish, sustainable big fish, is the water quality. Their water there's always moving water up there.
It's a huge river.
Yeah, the rivers. And the second is those fish up there can go so many places that you can't even get a boat. You put a boat around, you can launch a boat here, but those fish could be 3 miles up a river that you ain't gonna get no boat in, not even a fucking airboat.
Yeah.
Those fish
especially on the trout, the rivers to hold trout, because those trout they travel up, in very, very skinny water. Those striper fish, they follow them.
Just like 61. Everybody talks about 61. I guarantee you there's not 20 people right now that's ever fished up there that can go up 61 and navigate it and know exactly what they're doing and not knock the foot out of a boat. There's just so many, and that's just one. I never
told anybody this, but I went to Tennessee one time and spent 2 days by myself on my kayak and got skunked.
Oh, I spent many days in Tennessee getting skunked. Oh, I spent 3 days up there, and Wes caught me on the way home. Skunked.
Damn.
All right, Wes.
We did get skunked. That we didn't get. We had what? We had 2 runs up there on when we went above the dam. Where was we? What creek was that? Was this, Scott? Were you running the boat up on the beach? Were you beached the boat?
Up there in Cordell Hull, yeah.
Yeah, but what was the name of that creek we were in?
Finn's Lick.
Finn's Lick, yeah. Mm-hmm. We had 2 runs that morning, 2 pretty good bites, and that was it. 3 days fishing.
Yeah, it was tough,
fellas. I got to work. I got to get up at 5 o'clock.
Man, nobody want to hear that shit. And then last year, I made 2 trips to Carthage, Tennessee, 6 days fishing, and didn't get a bite. And I said, "The hell with this!
Yeah,
fuck this place. I'm going to saltwater."
I don't know. When you get that one bite, though, it's amazing.
It is. But, Wes doesn't have anything to prove. Wes went up there to Tennessee, man, and he just absolutely crushed it. Nobody did as good as Wes Rose did in such a short period of time that I know of. And,
I think when you guys
maybe
you only really prove stuff to yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, when it boils down to it, it's what you want.
He took people. He took a buddy of mine that I grew up with. He took him up there. That fish is on his wall, 46 pounds. He took him to Chesapeake, put him on a 55-pounder. He took Shane Howington up there. They had an absolutely epic trip. I mean, they were putting monster fish after monster fish over the rail. I mean, the guy just absolutely crushed it up there for a couple of years, and I think that's awesome. And then he got out. He kind of got out like he didn't like pull a Brett Favre or Tom Brady. He kind of went out on top. So you got to. But
there again, I had a lot of help. People always aggravate me about Todd Asher. Yeah, Todd Asher helped me a lot. But Todd is kind of like what's that thing? What's that saying, Scott? If you give a man a fish, he can eat for a day. But if you show him how to fish, he can eat the rest of his life.
You're the epitome of that.
Todd just showed me what to do up there. Some techniques and I brought some of that back home. It worked. You know, and I just went back up there but I fished hard. You know, it's time on the water. You know, most of the time, believe it or not, Todd was not on the boat with me. I had other people with me. I went to Tennessee. I'm like Scott. I love to fish by myself, you know, because I'm going to do my thing. I'm going to sit where I want to sit. A lot of people say I'm just lazy.
And you're open. You're open. You let everybody know what you're doing. You know, there's a lot of people that would have kept the fact that, like, you befriended Todd, and, you know, Todd showed you a lot of stuff, and other people showed you stuff, and a lot of people would have just kept that to themselves.
I don't give a see. I don't care what people think about me.
There's a lot of people that you see that are catching big fish that have gotten way more help than you have, and you would never know it because they're not going to tell you. But,
you know, that's just people.
You know, that just goes to show how modest you are, really. I mean, you're really one of the most modest people that I know. But the funny thing is, though, is it's just a true, genuine modesty. It's not a false modesty. Like, you don't give a shit about being modest. You could care less. You just are. And most people they try to pretend to be modest, and I call that false modesty. And that's part of the reason I'm such a big asshole, is because I'd rather be an asshole than to be fake modest. You know, I don't like people that act a certain way when they're around.
I don't even try to be modest.
You know, I mean, people may not like me, but hey, there's one thing that people can't say I am, and that's fake. I'm real. And I think Wes is a real person. Scott, you're a real person. You know, that's why I think that's probably one of probably the biggest reason you even started that group on Facebook called Savannah River Chain Gang, is because you're a real person. You're tired of all the fake shit.
It's because we got kicked off all the fishing pages because we were real.
Exactly. Yeah. You're just saying stuff that in a public forum that no one else would, but they would say it in private, though. I guarantee you, when they're out in their garage around their buddies, that they'd say the same shit.
Well, you know, I know there's a lot of people out there that don't like me, and that's okay. I don't know if y'all have noticed. I don't get mad on Facebook no more at people. It's stupid. It's stupid to get mad. You're talking about social media. People are fucked up enough in person. So you can imagine, you know, then you get them behind a phone or a keyboard on a computer, you know, they're going to say whatever, because most of them is not going to ever face you anyway. You know, they're not going to ever meet you. They're not going to have to interact with you. So they say what they want to on social media.
I think there's a point when you're fishing hard that's your life. And that's the people that get
you have to take it seriously. You have to, like, you know, we love it. We love the industry. We love the culture.
My life anymore, but I mean, I still like it, but at one time it was everything.
Yes.
But, you know, a lot of people, Scott, and you can attest to this, you too, JR. A lot of people, when you're posting these pictures on Facebook, you know, we're holding up these fish. All they see is you holding up a fish. They don't see all the time you've put in fish, the time you put in driving.
They don't see you sitting on that 5-gallon bucket taking a shit at 3:00 in the morning on a boat.
I shit off the side of the boat. But
they don't see my skunk last week.
But all the trips I made to Brevard, North Carolina to buy bait, you know, and trying to keep bait alive in the summer.
I met you up there one time. We were getting bait the same time you were.
Yeah. And, you know, so, I mean, there's just it's something you have to have a passion about. You have to love it if you want to succeed in it, especially striper fishing. You know, and it's just, I love it.
And it doesn't matter what you learn from people. Ultimately, you end up putting your own twist on it. You know, like if you were to take, like, let's say that, Wes, everything you learned about catching big fish, you learned from Todd Asher. Let's just say that that's not entirely true, but let's just say that is entirely true. Well, it's been 5 years from now. If I go fishing with Todd Asher and then I go fishing with you, what I'm going to see is that Todd Asher fishes completely differently than you. So even though he showed you, and you may have used his techniques and used the same, you know, terminal tackle that he did, blah, 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 blah. Eventually, you know, you're eventually going to put your own spin on it. It's going to become your art.
The biggest thing me and Todd disagree on, and Scott, I don't know where you are on this. If I feel good about a spot, I'll sit on that spot for hours. If I think if I just feel good about his confidence. Scott, Todd Asher's thing is 30 minutes and move. So when you're on Todd's boat, I don't give a fuck how many rods you got out.
He's got that guide mentality.
30 minutes and you're gone.
Well, a lot of that I think is current. I think current fish hold more than reservoir fish are on the move. They're schools, they're moving. Current fish.
So sitting on a reservoir would more likely pay off more so than
Oh,
sitting in current.
if I fish a tournament and I know I'm cut baiting a spot, I'm anchoring up there at daylight and I'm pulling anchors 30 minutes before weigh-in. If I've
tried that, and I like how that sounds, but I've tried that in a tournament. I fished a Southeastern tournament last year, and I told myself I'm going to pick a spot and I'm going to anchor up and I'm not going to move. But what did I end up doing? I ended up moving. It was an 8-hour tournament, and 4 or 5, 6 hours. I don't know. It wasn't. I sat there a long time. Got skunked. Well, I finally said, "Screw this!" I started trolling, and I actually caught 2 fish to show because I went against my own mentality. I say that I don't want to show up to the weigh-in with respect, but that day I did exactly what I shouldn't have done, and I pulled anchor and I went and trolled just so I can catch 2 fish to show up to the weigh-in with respect. And hell, who knows? Who knows what I could have won the tournament had I sat there.
Well, I must say I'm not going to sit on a spot that I just picked out on a map either. Like I'm going to sit on a spot that I've pre-fished or that I've had success at that same time of year in the past. Like I'm not just going to say, "Oh, that island over there looks good. I'm going to sit there all day."
Yeah. Well, catfish and striper are a little different, and people fish differently. It's not really one way is not necessarily better than the other way.
I just think the biggest difference is striper are more, they move more. So you kind of try to set up on a freeway or an offering.
Yes. I mean, you do that with catfish as well. But when it comes to the trophy catfish, sometimes you're just not going to mark them. They're going to be in a hole. They're going to hold so tight to the bottom. The graph's just not going to pick them up. Stripers don't really do that.
I don't know nothing about catfish, but I would think they would hold more to structure for a longer period of time than a striper.
I think they hold the cover and structure. They will, like if you're. I know several places on Lake Wiley where there are holes, and you can't see the holes unless you got your structure scan on, your 3D scan, and you have to go over them a certain way to even pick it up.
Well, I would think catfishing, you may want to move more due to the fact that, they're not moving. If they're moving, they're more likely to come to you. And if big stripers aren't going to be in huge schools, but they will be in schools. They'll be in schools of 4 and 5 fish, and they're traveling. They're running baits on points. They're going to the trees during the day. So if you're on what I call it's like McDonald's. You're at that feed spot. You're where they run that bait up on that point to feed. And it might be at 9 o'clock in the morning, or it might be at 2 o'clock in the evening, but they're going to run bait up on that point and feed. You just got to be there at the right time. Where I might be wrong, but catfish to me seem like they hold more to an area and then come out of that small area to feed and then go back into there.
There's a lot of contingencies. Like Thomas said, big cats prefer ambush spots. They're lazy. Yeah, that's true. But, for example,
I've never caught big catfish, so I don't know.
If you look at big female catfish, when they come off spawn, they're spent. They feed up pre-spawn. They spawn. They don't eat. At the second week of May to the first week of July on southeastern reservoirs, these fish aren't eating. So you can imagine how weak they are from fighting off males that are trying to, get with them. And then after that, they are pregnant and they're birthing, eggs, and they're spent. They've been through it. They are just tired. And when they come off spawn, that's why they find these holes and these places, the structure, because structures will protect them. They can sit there and rest. They don't have to worry about anything. And a lot of times those places are hard to get baits on.
With stripers, I've noticed I've been set up on that I know they're going to come feed on, right? I don't know if I'll be there when they're there, but they're going to come feed there sometime that day.
Right. They're much more nomadic.
I've sat there for 5 hours and I got a bite, and then all of a sudden you get 6 rods because that school comes through.
Yeah.
And I don't know if catfish act that way.
I think that a catfish is like an old dog. You could throw a steak down, and he's hungry. He's going to eat it. Right. He just don't want to eat it right now. But you better not let somebody else come by. Another dog come by. He's not going to let another dog eat it. but he's going to eat it. That's why guys set so long when they're catfishing. It's not because they're waiting on a school of catfish to come through. It's because they know that there could be a big fish in that vicinity. They're just waiting on him to decide to eat. And I think that's the case sometimes. I think the catfish, he knows that the food's there. He's just not in a hurry to eat it.
And I think that's the same, and I'm no expert, but like Tennessee, when you're fishing current, like I think these striper ain't going to get up and just fight 5 mile an hour current all day. Like he's going to be in a break or a hole or a ditch or a tree.
Eddie.
And so I think like when you throw your baits out,
fish eddies.
yeah, when your smell gets out there for a while, 30 minutes, if you haven't drawn anything out of the eddy or that tree or that hole, then they move. Which on a reservoir, I think they move. I think they're constantly working creeks, working points, working channels. I mean, that's what it seems like to me, because I know it's a lot of Tennessee guys will do the 45-minute. They might only move back 100 yards, but they're going to move.
I like that. I like that technique.
But
I like
why?
pull an anchor and just moving.
If you're in a river with current, okay, what's moving 45 feet going to do?
Well, there might be a dip or a hole or a tree stump, or there might be just something.
And it could just be the fish are just picky.
I mean, I'll admit I know nothing about fishing that current.
We don't swim. We don't swim with them.
See, and I love to fish the current. I love to fish. The reason I picked the stump, everybody knows about it now, thanks to Jeff Hill. Is it was a edge, the way you know where the stump is, Scott. The way the water comes down. I picked it. Todd Asher said, "Wes, I've never fished that spot before. I've never thought about that." But I was looking at the big eddy at the end of it when they're pulling a lot of water. When water's coming down off this end and water's coming down off this end, when it meets down here, there's just a big eddy right there. That's where I caught all those fish in that eddy. I never cast it out of that eddy, right at the edge of it.
It's like trout fish in a river. You don't throw it out in the current. You throw it behind a rock or behind it's a current break. They're where they can maintain their position without struggling.
Well, if you look at that river, it's deep on one side, like your channel is on one side there, and it's kind of shallow. It's almost like you have an underwater island. And if you look on up ahead of there actually is an island, and that basically backs up what I'm talking about, how it's basically he's fishing at the end of an underwater island, basically. Because I mean, you don't want to, when you're fishing a reservoir and there's current, like a large body of water and there's current, like just one tree that breaks up an edge. It's not a river, like a rock in a river, a little shallow, trout stream is going to be a big deal. Your trout will be there. But in a lake, when there's current, you need something much, much bigger than a tree. So that's where your islands and your points and all this stuff kind of come into play.
But you don't really have any current. You just got ambush points.
Ambush points. Yes.
That's it's same with bass fishing. Bass fishermen aren't going to go out in the middle of the channel and chunk buzz baits.
Sometimes you'll have more current than you realize because, the deeper the water, the more, sneaky that current is. Like,
well, I mean, you can kind of tell by your lines if you got current.
Yeah, you can tell, or you could spit in the water, you could throw a biscuit in the water, and you could see suds, you could see stuff moving.
That's a lot of people message me about. I mean, still nobody cut bass Russell, and I understand why, because it's not easy. But
I do.
I think they look too much at the bank and not. They don't use their graph because there's holes, there's hills, there's humps, there's edges. Just because it looks like you're sitting out in the middle of the channel, I mean, you're fishing structure. I think if people would find structure that was clean, what I call clean structure, where you ain't going to get hung up every time you cast out there. And fish are going to travel them areas. They're going to travel them humps and points and dips. And
all right, guys. Well, Wes, are you content, brother?
No. He's ready to go to bed.
You guys got to get up at 5 o'clock.
Huh?
You guys got to get up at 5
I'm
o'clock.
off tomorrow.
Yeah.
No, I'll get up. I'll get up about 6 in the morning. Go to Gus's.
I'm gonna call you at 5, and we'll go live again at 5.
We'll go live on YouTube right now. Let's go there.
We're already live on YouTube right now.
Hell yeah.
We're live on my Facebook page, Wes's Facebook page, our group live. What is our Real fishermen.
Put one comment up before you go. Pick one, put it up.
Okay.
Then we'll go.
There you go.
Pray for rain. Our lakes are on the struggle bus this year. I don't know, Thomas. I disagree. Some of my best fishing's when Hartwell was 22 feet down. Rain hurts in the spring a lot. I kind of like the lakes being down.
Well, if there is rain in the spring, the fish stripers are they're going up river in the spring to spawn. They're going up to the backs of creeks and up the main river portion. So if there's rain, then that means they're going to be releasing water.
Oh,
so that's what you want. So
I'll tell you this:
rain's good, right?
If you're finding fish, and when I'm talking fishing skinny, I'm talking skinny, like back of creeks, way back in creeks. If it rains 4 days before you plan on fishing the back of that creek, don't even go. That freshwater influx will push all the fish out of the back of them creeks. But I was more talking about rain in the spring as far as the summertime fish kills. If you get a big, heavy spring rain, you usually get fish kills.
Now, what about a little rain? What about just enough rain to get some nutrients in the water, wash some bugs off in the water, some plants, some stuff that's.
Are you talking about fish in the back of the creeks, or are you talking about the
backs of the creeks?
Yeah, any rain, I'm out.
Any rain, you're out.
Mm-hmm. For a few days, anyways, at least 5 days.
You think it's probably because the backs of the creeks are much more susceptible to having the plankton diluted quickly, even with a little rain?
I really haven't thought about it, because usually when I'm fishing way back there, and that's like I used to tournament fish way back in the creeks, there wasn't a lot of bait. It was like the early season females would come up in there, but it seemed like every time you got a rain.
I think the reason they're coming up in there, and this is my theory, is because everything in the back of a creek is covered in algae because it's shallow, and the sun can penetrate the water. If the sun can penetrate everything that's on the lake floor back in the back of a creek, then it's going to produce algae. So fish go up in there and they spawn in those areas because their fingerlings can feed on the algae and the fish that are feeding on the algae.
Well, this is what I don't figure out. Like, most of your stripers will spawn in April. Like, you'll see a shutdown of the bite. Like, you'll have a real good bite, like a feed up bite. Like end of March, they feed up hard through April. Early April, they feed up hard, and then there's 2 weeks you can't get a bite
unless you go at night.
Well, maybe, but I'm thinking once they're in that mood to spawn out, they're not in that feeding mood. They got one mission.
They won't feed, but you can still catch them because they don't want your bait being around them because they will feed. Now this is from my experience on Lake Norman. They at night is these stripers. You can go up to points and the backs of creeks or whatever, shallow water, and you can hear them busting. And they're not really busting on bait. The males are gathering around a female. About 7 males will gather around a female, and they'll
punching them in the belly.
They'll be hitting them with their tail, knocking the eggs out.
Do y'all remember?
They fertilize the eggs with their sperm.
Mm-hmm.
Did y'all see the video I did last year? Did you see that, Scott, in front of Carthage Boat Ramp?
Yeah.
Dude, there was like 30 fucking striper around these other 3, and they were just rolling. They were just knocking the shit out of them.
That's what they're doing, and they're not feeding. But if you throw a redfin over there,
everything but a redfin at them son of a bitch.
They will slap it with their tail, but they'll eventually
not hit nothing.
But what I was getting
the secret is the presentation, though.
What I was getting back to is, like, most of them spawn in April on our lakes. I mean, give or take a few weeks. It's usually mid to late April. There's a 2-week window there, late April, May. Normally, it can be 2 weeks later, 2 weeks earlier, depending on the weather. But the big females, like the 20+ pound females, seem to be in the back of the creeks in February. Way early.
Way early.
And I haven't figured. There's no bait back there. There's
Well,
there's
it
no
could-
little males back there.
It could be
Big
that.
females
So
will be
this is pre-spawn.
yeah. I mean, they're in 2 foot of water in February.
Well, okay, February. Okay, yeah, I think it's pre-spawn, and my theory would be one theory could be that they're back there and they're not feeding on what all the other stripers that are smaller than them are feeding on. Like the other ones, their forage could be threadfin at the moment, or
Well, I'm talking like no shad flips.
yeah, they could be up in
Nothing.
there feeding on panfish. Brim. That could be when the brim are starting to move up on the banks, and they could be in there feeding up on bluegill.
I have a weird theory, and it might be totally wrong, that it might be crawfish.
That's not out of the realm of possibilities.
Because you can't mark crawfish on the graph. You
I'll
can't
tell you
see
what
them.
you could do is you could actually go try to target those. You know, you couldn't go by a small sample size, but you could dedicate, you know, the next 5 years, the next 5 Februaries to fishing and catching these 20-pound females that you're speaking of, and you know, keep a couple and you know, see what's in their bellies.
And they will feed on huge gizzard shad. Even though there's not huge gizzard shad there, they will.
I think
feed
it's
on
because they're already feeding on large bait fish anyways and bluegill. I think that's when the bluegill start to move up on the bank. That's why you're not seeing the shad, is because those fish, the different size fish of the same species will feed on different forage.
But I'm talking about like kayak water, like Carolina skiff scratching the bottom, 12-foot wide creek, like way back.
Way back.
So I don't know. I don't know the answer, but I know they're the first ones that get back there.
He's ready for me to go to bed. I got to go to bed.
Oh my God, Wes is calling it. Good night, guys. Good night, Wes. Good night, Scott. Wes, you got anything to say? You want to say goodbye?
No, hey, Scott, appreciate you joining us tonight, buddy.
All
shit aside, I really do hope Michigan kicks Ohio State's ass, but if they don't, I'm going to talk shit. Oh, my God.
God, Wes, you'll be one of 6,000. I won't even notice you there.
Where'd y'all go?
Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next week on Real Fisherman. Good night, fellas.
Good night.